This is how their war begins. G.I. Joe. Duke leads a special military force to combat the Energon-fueled world domination efforts of Cobra Commander. Conrad Hauser, codenamed Duke, has assembled a special force known as G.I. Joe to battle the rising power of the mysterious Cobra in the aftermath of the Autobot and Decepticons' arrival on Earth. But the enigmatic Cobra Commander has unleashed the power of Energon like never before, featuring many familiar faces and the first appearance of an all-new character. This is the comic that will change everything you think you know about G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe is an ongoing comic series from Skybound Entertainment, the third ongoing series of the Energon Universe. The series continues the G.I. Joe and Cobra storylines started by Duke, Cobra Commander, Scarlet, and Destro miniseries. A daring, highly trained special mission force dedicated to defending human freedom, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world. The road to G.I. Joe Issue 1 starts here. Presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe Issue 1 in the Energon Universe. After enduring intense battles with Mars Industries and a massive robot that transformed into a plane, First Sergeant Conrad Duke Hauser has taken command of the newly formed Special Mission Force codenamed G.I. Joe. Duke states, "I'm not going to lie to you. We're up against something that will feel like an impossible fight. The enemy is unpredictable, dangerous. They don't just want us defeated. They're a threat to the freedom of the world. But I promise you, we can win. I've seen it. I've done it. And each of you has the skills to take them down. The only way we lose if we give up. You are the best." The following 4 panels recap the events that led Duke to lead the G.I. Joe team. Panel 1, Duke's encounter with Starscream in Transformers 2. Panel 2, Duke and Clutch fleeing from rock and roll drones in Duke 2. Panel 3, Duke's destroying the Bat in Duke 5. Panel 4, Duke agreeing to join Hawk new teams at the end of Duke 5. During a training exercise with his new team, Duke addresses them saying, "Listen up, soldiers. Here's your objective." He is surrounded by Rock and Roll, Stalker, the Baroness, Covergirl, and Clutch. The Joes are all equipped with jump jetpacks for the exercise. Duke continues explaining the objective for the training mission. Take out the enemy drones. The drones the Joes fight in their training exercise are the same ones Rock and Roll controlled in Duke issue number 2. He then gives a candid assessment of his team members. First is Rock and Roll, Craig S. McConley, a heavy artillery specialist at the top of his class. That's just his file. Spend any time with him and you'll see he's got a big heart and loyalty that'll last till the days he dies. Then there's Stalker, as deadly as Lonzo Wilkinson can be in any situation. He also knows how to defuse them, which explains his command of so many languages and his skill in connecting with people. Just as well, he knows how to handle a weapon. Then there's Covergirl, Courtney Greiger. She used to be a model, but she's so much more. She builds tanks that can take a beating and isn't afraid to test them herself. Clutch, Lance Steinberg is the best driver I know, whether it's on the streets or in the field. He has his flaws, maybe a bit old school, but if I need a ride in battle, he's my first pick. And then we have the Baroness. When these drones appear with armor plating that makes guns useless, the Baroness jumps right on top of one of them. The Baroness uses a knife to take out the drones. Duke reflects. I know Colonel Hawk isn't a fan of my decision to add Anastasia, Baroness Sissa Ravona to the team, considering she's a war criminal I met while we were both locked up. Not ideal, as shown in Duke miniseries, but I can't deny her talents. The Baroness stands out as the only one to successfully eliminate the drones during the training exercise, making her Duke's most controversial recruit. However, mid-exercise, her jump jet pack, a critical piece of gear she relies on, malfunction. Duke dives down to rescue her, much to Baroness' annoyance. While Duke is diving down, he finds the weak point in the drones and takes them out and free falling straight down. Duke is fixing Baroness' jetpack. Baroness thinks he is a fool and that he's going to kill them both, but just in time he fixed the Baroness' jetpack as Baroness angrily says, "Hardly American. I wouldn't need your help if your equipment wasn't so shoddy. Even in training situation, we almost died. Surely any real battle will be our graveyard." Rock and Roll tries tries to console Duke and says, "Don't worry about it, Duke. These are the early days, brother. It's going to be okay." In a meeting with Hawk afterwards, Duke reflects that for as skilled as his team is, they're yet not ready to face the enemy. Meanwhile, in Springfield, USA, the headquarters of secretive Cobra organization, Destro observes our army grows each day. Thanks to the Energon you've discovered, we are entering a new world of warfare. Our forces are using it to upgrade the firepower and destructive capabilities of our entire army. This energy fuels assets beyond anything our enemies could ever match. The world has seen what we can do and trembles with fear, but it is not enough. Springfield previously appeared as Cobra's base of operation in Cobra Commander issue 5. Though it went unnamed in that issue, Dr. Laszlo Vandermeer continues to work on Cobra's Energon project as was first established in Cobra Commander issue 5. Until now, Cobra has mostly remained in the shadows, but their recent actions have exposed their capabilities, referring the use of the bats in Darklonia's revolution as seen in Destro 1. In keeping with tradition, Springfield is only identified as Springfield, USA, with no specific state given. Destro meets with Cobra Commander to discuss the first phase of their plans for world domination using the mysterious substance Energon. Cobra Commander agrees with Destro, stating it's not enough. Cobra needs far more than what we currently have. Everything until now has been child's play compared to what we will need to take over the world. For the first time, Cobra Commander appears without his helmet or bandages. When he is first shown, Cobra Commander is tinkering with the mechanical claw weapon he used to defeat Nemesis Enforcer in Cobra Commander issue 4. Though his face remains in shadow, this marks the first time we see him without the helmet or the bandages that covered his wounds from the spores in Cobra Law introduced back in Cobra Commander issue 1. Destro presents Commander with his latest innovation, a rifle that uses Energon, not only as power source, but as ammunition. Cobra Commander hisses with satisfaction at the sight of this new laser weapon. Destro explains, Energon at the pull of a trigger. Imagine every member of our forces armed with one. Mercer, standing nearby, chimes in, always wanted my own laser gun. Cobra Commander fires, and the laser pierces to the target as he hisses, yes. Destro using Energon to give Cobra laser-based weapons as opposed to traditional firearms provides an in-universe reason to mirror the use of the laser weapons for both Cobra and the Joes in the G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero cartoon. At a nightclub in Abu Dhabi, an operative codenamed Risk confronts a local boss who had previously refused to talk to him. There were not supposed to be any guns, but Risk de-armed them all. Then the bodyguards come for Risk, who is a mixed martial artist, a professional mixed martial artist. Single-handedly takes down each of the bodyguards with punches, spinning elbows, a rod of punches, and knee kicks. After taking out bodyguards single-handedly, Risk delivers one simple message to the boss. Don't sell to Mars Industries. Rick says, you're ready to listen. The boss says, good. Don't sell to Mars Industry. At that moment, he gets a message on his wrist communicator ordering him to return home. Duke watches the sunrise above the pit as Hawk joins him. Duke confides that he's unsure how to turn the Joes into a proper team, feeling they should all follow his lead. Hawk responds with a story. My first command, Conrad, I thought I knew my crew. We'd done countless training simulations together. We were a well-oiled American fighting machine. I trained them to be just like me, but that all went out the window once we hit the battlefield. Who they really were took over. It was how they survived. It's what made them great. Our bond was forged in fire. My point is, we already have you. We don't need more of you. We need them to be the best versions of themselves. That's what will make G.I. Joe different from any other team in the world. Hawk then tells Duke to get some rest. G.I. Joe has their first mission tomorrow. The next morning, while waiting for the meeting to begin, Clutch sketches a design for a multi-purpose attack vehicle, which he calls the Vamp. This references Clutch's prototype of the Vamp previously seen in Duke issue 2. During this time, Clutch playfully asks CoverGirl, why the dye job? I liked you with the auburn hair. CoverGirl replies, that's why I changed it, referencing her color change from the autumn shade seen in the Duke series. Duke briefs the Joes on their mission, a piece of recovered alien technology from the wreckage of a mysterious world that recently fell into the Pacific Ocean is being studied at a facility in Colorado. However, a series of global break-ins at advanced technology facilities suggests this site might be the next target. The Joes' mission is to secure the facility and ensure the alien technology doesn't fall into the wrong hands. During his mission brief, Duke reminds the team of their purpose. You are all aware of why the team, codenamed G.I. Joe, was formed: to identify and combat deadly emerging weapons technology, especially massive robots that disguise themselves as vehicles. Duke then reveals a new threat, referencing the Transformers by showing the same photo of Optimus Prime seen at the end of Duke issue 5. He also mentions recent events from the second arc of Transformers, including sightings of Autobots and Decepticons in the Pacific Ocean and a piece of Cybertron crashing into the sea. Duke explains there were sightings of our robot enemies in the Pacific after some kind of massive crash. A large section of their technology was recovered, and shard of it now being transported to a secure lab in Colorado for study. However, there's been a string of break-ins at advanced technology and weapons facilities, including Mars Industries, suggesting someone is making a play for the same type of advanced weapons we're here to stop. Duke also references Cobra's attack on Mars facilities in Cobra Commander issue 5, as well as their break-in at the Sato building in Scarlet series, where they were after the Sword of Life. Meanwhile, Destro briefs the Cobra troopers on their next mission, acquiring more Energon from the Colorado lab. He orders them to support Mercer and his Cobra Vipers to infiltrate, acquire the technology, and escape as quickly as possible. However, Cobra Commander has other plans, seeing this as the moment Cobra should finally step out of the shadows. He commands, "I want these magnificent weapons you've developed to wipe out everyone in the facility, leaving only one witness to spread the word of our glory. Let them fear the name Cobra. This is how we save the world." The Joe's mission is to protect the technology, while Cobra's mission is to steal it. The stage is set for a deadly encounter. While Cobra troopers and officers have previously appeared in Scarlet and Destro, this issue marks the first appearance of Cobra Vipers led by Mercer. At the Colorado facility, Baroness is visibly annoyed, expressing her disdain for their mission, which she sees as nothing more than playing glorified babysitter. This sparks a heated exchange between her and Stalker. Their conversation, conducted in Russian, roughly translate as, "Baroness, shut up you stupid old pig, or I'll slit your throat in your sleep. Stalker, try that and I'll not only kick your ass, but I'll drag you right back to your mommy and daddy and tell them how their little princess got into this messed up life. They brought you into this world, so maybe they'll do me a favor and take you out." Duke interjects, "Enough. We're not each other's enemy. This mission may not be the most glamorous, but these are our orders, and I need you both too." Suddenly, the bickering is interrupted as the facility powers cuts out. The screens on the lab computers flicker to static before turning red, displaying the Cobra insignia. Duke shouts, "Everybody down!" Outside, a Fang helicopter opens on the top floor of the facility, forcing the Joes to take cover as a squad of Cobra troopers launch a siege on the building. Rock and Roll exclaims, "Dang it, they broke my favorite machine gun." Duke helping CoverGirl up as CoverGirl asks, "What the hell was that?" Duke assists CoverGirl to her feet and replies, "We'll find out later, but first we need to go on the defensive." As Cobra troopers head upstairs, Duke says, "My gut tells me we're about to have company." Rock and Roll clutching CoverGirl, "Get the asset out of here." Stalker and Baroness, "Cover them." The Baron of scoffs, "And what will you be doing, American?" Duke, running towards the Fang helicopter, calls back, taking out their air cover. Duke dives out the window to take down the Fang helicopter himself, gripping onto its landing gear. Cobra Commander watches in disbelief, exclaiming, "This man is insane." Destro interjects, "Conrad Hauser, but I was told he died in an explosion." Destro dismisses the concern, replying, "It doesn't matter. We have the upper hand. Watch." Destro comments he was supposed to be dead, referring to the government's announcement of Duke's death in Duke issue 5. Inside the facility, Cobra troopers are firing wildly, but the Baroness quickly gains the upper hand. However, she pauses, questioning, "Who are these troopers?" Duke grabs a Cobra trooper in the Fang and throws him out before taking control of the helicopter. However, Cobra forces quickly overwhelm the Joes. Rock and Roll shouts, "You two better hurry up," as CoverGirl and Clutch friendly work to extract the Cybertronian shard. Meanwhile, Rock and Roll and Stalker provide cover fire. Suddenly, a grenade crashes through the windows, bolstered by the arrival of Mercer and his Vipers wielding Destro's new Energon blasters. The Vipers corner clutching CoverGirl. Mercer, traditionally depicted as an ex-Cobra Viper, is now portrayed as the de facto leader of the Vipers. His new design is hybridization of the standard Viper uniform and his usual sleeveless outfit. Rock and Roll is shocked and exclaims, "What kind of guns are these?" Baroness responds, "Lasers." As Mercer and his Viper surround the Joes, he says, "If you want to give up and wrap that for us, that would be just fine." The G.I. Joes are in trouble, surrounded by Mercer's laser-wielding Cobra troopers with the asset in front of Cobra. Before the final 2 pages of this issue, who is G.I. Joe Rock and Roll in the Energon Universe? Craig S. McConnell didn't earn the codename Rock and Roll by accident. He's a die-hard fan of every subgenre of rock music, from classic rock to industrial thrash. His fearless, never-say-die attitude means he'll dive headfirst into any situation, refusing to back down even when the odds are against him. As G.I. Joe heavy weapons specialist, Rock and Roll has swapped his old bass guitar for a pair of machine guns. But he hasn't given up his love for loud, hard-hitting music. He changes into battle with his favorite heavy metal tracks blaring, bringing the noise in every sense. Rock and Roll first appeared in Duke issue 1 when General Hawk, seeking to capture the American hero Duke, decides he'll need to help of other American heroes. We first met Rock and Roll alongside fellow soldier Stalker, with both of them tasked with the capturing Duke, who has gone rogue. In Duke issue 2, Rock and Roll jumps onto the machine gun and shouts, "Let's make some noise," as rock music blares from a nearby boombox. Rock and Roll starts firing rounds everywhere, not to kill Duke or Clutch, but to create chaos and force them into capture. During a high-speed chase, they encounter drones for the first time, and Rock and Roll and Stalker eventually succeed in capturing Duke and Clutch, despite their mutual respect and the fact they're on opposite sides. By Duke issue 3, Duke, Clutch, and even Baroness are locked up together, with Rock and Roll now acting as their prisoner guard. But when Major Bludd shows up with lethal intentions, Rock and Roll finds himself working alongside the very people he was sent to capture to fend off the Bloodhound. In Duke issue 4, Duke, Clutch, and the Baroness must work with Rock and Roll and Stalker to escape a brutal assault by the Bloodhound. Though Duke and Clutch eventually part ways with Rock and Roll, they share newfound admiration for one another. Rock and Roll helps a wounded Clutch escape from the rubble and even backs Duke when he most in need. Their shared experiences reveal their bond they have, despite their initial mission, placing them on opposite sides. From behind, Rock and Roll does his best to take on the Cobra troops, hitting one right from behind. "Back off, big man," he exclaims, then grabs several troopers, pulling them down and taking them out. He continues shouting, "Clutch, Cover Girl, get that damn thing out of here." But then a Mercer appears, striking Rock and Roll and saying, "You had to make this complicated." He adds to the Cobra troopers, "If they get away, you'll have to deal with that psycho commander," while continuing to hold Clutch. Clutch responds, "Back off." Rock and Roll slowly starts to get up, declaring, "You ain't getting that machine." Duke screams, "Rock and Roll, what are you doing?" Rock and Roll answers, "Don't worry, Duke. I've been shot before. I can handle a light show." In that moment, Rock and Roll sacrifices himself, willing to put his life on the line for Duke, for G.I. Joe, and for the people he once sought to capture. A soldier on the opposite side, he has always respected the true spirit of a real American hero. Now he's sacrificing himself to allow the others to escape. However, as he charges confidently at the Vipers, Rock and Roll is struck multiple times by their Energon-powered blaster. The laser fire tears through his body repeatedly. In his final moments, Rock and Roll sacrifices himself for his teammates, for America, and for the planet Earth. A true American hero, Craig S. McConnell. Rock and Roll, rest in peace. Next, presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe, issue 2 in the Energon Universe. Sounds like somebody doesn't know how to take a hit. It's one of the first things they teach you in the cage, that if you want to win, you have to not be afraid of getting punched in the face a few times. Quote, risk. As the Joes recover from the disaster of a first mission, they are left with 2 questions. What is Cobra, and how do they stop them? Presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe, issue 2 in the Energon Universe. A horrified cover girl, tearing up, cries out, "Rock and roll, no! We have to help him." Still believing there's a chance to save him, she races over to assist Rock and Roll, whose body is still smoking from the laser fire. However, Mercer blocks her path, pulling a gun on her and ordering her to help the Vipers load up the Cybertronian shard. Rock and Roll's valiant effort ends in tragedy as he is executed by the Battle Android Troopers in G.I. Joe issue 1. Meanwhile, Clutch is being choked by Mercer, who points an Energon laser directly at CoverGirl's head. Just then, machine gun fire erupts, taking down the Cobra Vipers. However, Duke fires at the Cobra forces from his commandeered Fang, shouting, "Joes, get up and fight back. Do not let these sons of the bitches steal that shard." Mercer, frustrated, says, "I hate this guy," and orders the Vipers to return fire. Their laser weapons destroy the Fang, causing it to fall apart. Duke is forced to bail out, leaping back into the building and tackling Mercer. Clutch, lying on the ground, shouts, "What are you doing now, you maniac?" This is Duke. Despite the loss of a fallen friend, he remains focused on the mission as explosions erupt all around. Meanwhile, back in Springfield, Cobra Commander observes the action, impressed by Duke's skills. "I respect that," he says. "Perhaps we should recruit him." Destro, visibly concerned, responds, "Excuse me, Commander, but if we do not retrieve the shard, this entire mission will be a failure, let alone a costly one." Cobra Commander, unperturbed, reminds him, "You forgot, Destro. The mission was about more than the shard. It was about sending a message to our enemies, something my personal guard will ensure." He continues, "Your man Mercer may or may not survive the day, but there is nothing to worry about. The cavalry is on its way." As always, showing little concern for the lives of soldiers he sends into battle. Duke tackles Mercer and begins to pummel him, cracking the visor of Mercer's helmet. In the process, Duke realizes that the Viper leader is none other than Destro's head of security. "You're not getting that shard," Duke shouts, landing blow after blow on Mercer. He recognizes Mercer from their last confrontation in Duke issue 1. Their fight is abruptly interrupted by the arrival of the Cobra Valkyries, an elite all-female unit referred by Mercer as the Killing Crew. The Valkyries begin systematically picking off all wounded soldiers and scientists in the facility. "They're shooting the wounded," Duke exclaims in horror. Mercer coldly replies, "That's what Valkyries do. They send the wounded on the battlefield to Valhalla." Duke screams for Stalker as one of the Valkyries prepares to execute him. This issue marks the fictional debut of the Cobra Valkyries, an elite unit of female Cobra troopers first introduced in the G.I. Joe Classified Series toy line. Stalker is saved by the Baroness, who delivers a few roundhouse kicks to the Valkyries. She urges Duke to finish the mission. Cover Girl retorts, "Screw the mission. We need to take care of our people first." Meanwhile, Cobra Vipers grab the Cybertronian shard, but Clutch exclaims, "I'll be damned." Clutch picks up one of the Valkyries' rifles and blasts a Viper as they secure the shard. "How do you like this?" he says, shooting with the Energon laser gun. Seeing this, Destro and Cobra Commander agree they can't let their weapons fall into other hands. This prompts Cobra Commander to activate a modification he made to Destro's design, a self-destruct sequence. As the Energon-powered rifles begin to beep, glow, and get heated, the remaining Cobra forces swiftly retreat, airlifting the shard away just before the facility explodes. These laser guns are going to blow the Cobra soldiers who held the guns, along with the remaining guns left behind, all explode. The remaining forces take advantage of this and escape with the shard while the explosion shakes the facility. The rubble from the explosion is everywhere. The first one to rise from the rocks and debris is Duke, bloody, beaten, and distraught. Duke rounds up the surviving Joes to go back to the pit. Sergeant Craig McConnell, Rock and Roll, has been killed in the line of duty while protecting his team. Stalker is in emergency surgery and is seriously injured, but the doctor said he will make it through. He won't be in the field for some time. CoverGirl was burned by the Energon lasers, something our people have never never seen before. Clutch is missing and presumed dead. The rest of the team was lucky to make it to the pit at all. What's ironic is that there was no body found for rock and roll. Stalker, who had been at odds with the Baroness, was saved by her. CoverGirl, a model, certainly has scars on her body. And then there's Clutch. Where is he? Is he alive? And why didn't he return with the other Joes to the pit? Duke informs Colonel Hawk that the enemy calls themselves Cobra. Colonel Hawk replies, must be a new group. We have no intel on that name. Duke says, the one who has been given orders. I know him. He's Destro, head of security. Duke then urges, let's get every tank, plane, gun, and soldier we have and bomb Mars Industries to hell. Colonel Hawk counters, not that easy. I can't just storm a foreign diplomat's office. Duke, you need to regroup, plan, and evaluate the situation before rushing into anything. Baroness adds, I agree with Colonel Hawk. Duke, we need to heal. If you let revenge drive you, you fail. Duke responds, I refuse to just sit here and do nothing. A new character, Risk, is introduced and remarks, sounds like somebody doesn't know how to take a hit. Hawk claims that the military has no intel on the name Cobra. Assuming this is true, it suggests the information given to Snowjoy by Scarlet and Jinx in Scarlet issue 5 has either not yet reached Hawk or did not contain what Jinx had learned about Cobra during her time with the Arashikage. Hawk refers to Destro as a foreign diplomat, referencing his connection to Darklonia as established in the Destro miniseries. In Destro issue 3, it is explained that the United States government is working with Mars Industries. In fact, General Flagg, who is the boss of Colonel Hawk, actually protected Destro, then let him go and gave into Destro's demands. Colonel Hawk is most likely aware of what Mars Industries is doing and its connection to obtaining arms from Destro. Risk says, it's one of the first things you teach in the cage. If you want to win, you can't be afraid of getting punched in the face a few times. Duke then screams, who the hell is this? Colonel Hawk responds, this is Guerrero La Casa, codename Risk. Colonel Hawk explains to Duke and the Baroness that Risk is a former airman who joined the CIA after some time in the Air Force. In his spare time, Risk used to cage fight and later worked in risk assessment for dangerous missions before entering the field himself. He spent some time overseas tracking down different arms dealers. So Risk is a former airman turned CIA operative specializing in risk assessment and cage fighting. Baroness remarks, I've heard of you, bored rich boy looking for trouble, to which Risk replies, you're one to talk. Duke, irritated that Hawk brought in someone without consulting him, is condescended by Risk, who assures him that he's here to help. However, Risk gets rock and roll's name wrong, mistakenly calling him Heavy Metal, the name of a different Joe, the mauler driver from the original A Real American Hero toy line. Duke snaps and says his name was Rock and Roll before decking Risk. Baroness and Colonel Hawk try to hold them back, but the fight continues, leading to a brawl between the two. Risk taunts Duke, the Boy Scout, want to lose again. After the fight, Duke says to Colonel Hawk, do not keep secrets from me like that ever again, Colonel. However, as we know, Colonel Hawk has many secrets, such as a second unit of G.I. Joe, connections to Mars Industries, letting Destro walk, and manipulating who is on Duke's team. Back in Springfield, the Vipers return with the Cybertronian shard. Destro is frustrated by Cobra Commander, who calmly responds, my secret assured our success. Destro retorts, I don't care about your secrets. If you want this partnership to flourish, we need total transparency. Where is this technology from? How is it a weapon we can use? Cobra Commander replies, you of all people should know that everything is a weapon depending on who possesses it, and this is from something. Cobra Commander, with the thoughts of Megatron lingering in his mind, says, this weapon is from before our time together. I need it. We need it. But this is just part of our plan. Destro says, indeed, while our enemies' backs are against the wall, it is important that we act fast to retrieve the next piece of your design. Cobra Commander recalls his encounter with Megatron in Cobra La as seen in Cobra Commander issue 1. He is in search of Megatron, just as Soundwave has sent Laserbeak to track him down in Transformers Volume 4 issue 15. So while Cobra Cobra Commander searches for Megatron, one faction of a split Decepticon force led by Soundwave is on the same mission. Cobra Commander tells Destro that the next part of the mission involves the brainwave scanner. The creator, Dr. Archibald Muneve, is being questioned by Congress while his experimental device is secured in an evidence lockup. Cobra Commander warns that if Muneve reveals his secrets to the world, they will lose exclusive rights to the technology. Destro suggests the age-old tactic of divide and conquer as the best course of action. One team to retrieve the scanner and the other to capture Dr. Muneve. That's your cue, Cobra Commander says, and I know just the team to send. Dr. Archibald Muneve, better known as Dr. Venom, is the original Cobra mad scientist from the Marvel G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero comics. He and his inventions, the brain scanner, first appeared in A Real American Hero, issue 10. Muneve, spelled backward, is Venom. As the Cobra leaders finalize their plan, a lone Viper who has been eavesdropping on the conversation and gathering intel silently slips away. The Viper removes his helmet. The helmet is too tight for the Viper, who gasps for air and mutters, "Damn thing is too tight." He then says to himself, "Oh man, Clutch buddy, what did you get yourself into now?" The Viper soldier who overheard Cobra Commander and Destro's plans and infiltrated Cobra headquarters is none other than Clutch. Next, presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe issue 3 in the Energon Universe. "My instincts are never wrong, Destro. Trust that," quote Cobra Commander. As tensions rise within G.I. Joe and fists fly, Cobra seeks out a dangerous new ally. Meanwhile, Clutch finds himself trapped deep in the Viper's nest as the Joes rally together to rescue Dr. Venom from Cobra's grasp. Presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe issue 3 in the Energon Universe. When we last left off, the Joes and the Duke teams had failed in their mission to safeguard a piece of Cybertronian technology from falling into Cobra's hands. This advanced technology, originating from the Transformers series, has now been stolen by Cobra. The failure came at a devastating cost as G.I. Joe suffered the ultimate loss with the death of Rock and Roll. This was a crushing team failure. Having infiltrated Cobra headquarters in Springfield while disguised as Cobra Viper, Clutch searches for a way to contact the Joes. As one of the Vipers remarks, "Sounds like we're going back out again. Mercer's got something to prove now." Clutch grows increasingly worried. He thinks to himself, "Get your head on straight, Clutch. You've got this. First, find a way to get a word to Duke and the Joes. There's got to be some kind of communication hub around here that I can use." Clutch is stunned by the sheer size of the Cobra's hangar. Mercer, looking to vent his frustration on one of the Vipers, Mercer halts him. "Get to work, Viper," Mercer snaps. Clutch quickly responds, "I took one too many hits to the head in the fight with the G.I. Joes." Mercer narrows his eyes. "We all took a few hits, but nobody on my team gets to stand around. Maybe you need better motivation," he says, pointing an energized gun directly at Clutch's head. Mercer seems to still have a bone to pick with Duke, owing to their first confrontation in Duke issue 1. Clutch is saved by the timely intervention of Destro, who arrives to brief Mercer and the assembled Vipers on the next phase of Cobra's plan, retrieving Dr. Archibald Muneve, the creator of the brainwave scanner, from the protective custody before he testifies in front of Congress. Destro chastises Mercer. "Don't take your frustrations out on your people. You allowed yourself to be identified. You've embarrassed yourself and me. Save your anger for Duke and his team. You'll have another chance to get your revenge on them." Continuing, Destro adds, "We have the Energon and the Shard Cybertronian technology. Now, to complete the Commander's plans, we need the brainwave scanner. Its creator, Dr. Muneve, has been in witness protection for months, but he is scheduled to testify before Congress today. You need to retrieve him before that happens." Mercer confidently replies, "The Vipers and I got this, Destro, but I gotta ask, what the heck are you building now?" Destro is about to explain the plan when Cobra Commander abruptly interjects. "Hold on, Destro. Dr. Archibald Muneve, better known as Dr. Venom, is the original Cobra mad scientist from the Marvel G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero comics. He and his invention, the brainwave scanner, first appeared in A Real American Hero issue 10. Cobra Commander says, "We must be careful revealing our full plans when we have unwelcome guests among us." Destro asks, "Spy?" Cobra Commander replies, "An infiltrator." Destro is skeptical. "Impossible. Cobra Commander asserts, my instincts are never wrong, Destro. Trust me, we are being watched. Someone among us wishes to learn of our operations and report back to their masters. We cannot not allow that. Cobra Commander is looking straight at the imposter Clutch Viper. At that moment, one of the Cobra scientists attacks the commander with a strangely shaped dagger, but the commander easily subdues him, crushing his jaw with a resounding crunch. The imposter scientist screams out, Cobra La! After Cobra Commander defeated Nemesis Enforcer in Cobra Commander 4, Galabulus ordered another agent to be sent to retrieve the commander and bring him back to Cobra La, as revealed in the epilogue of Cobra Commander Issue 5. The assassin attempts to flee. Destro remarks, he only seemed to target you, Cobra Commander. Cobra Commander replies, of course, as I am the most valued person here, you truly need to do a better job of vetting the scientists you recruit. As the assassin's face begins to fall away, it reveals a reptilian visage. Unfazed, Cobra Commander drags the spy to an opening in the middle of the facility. Leaning in close, he whispers a taunt. Galabulus sent you here to die. Then with a swift motion, he throws Cobra La agent into a pit filled with robotic serpents, which devour the spy within moments. Cobra Commander turns to the onlookers and declares, let this be a lesson to everyone here. Do not underestimate me. Shifting focus, Cobra Commander addresses the mission. Destro informs him Mercer and his men are deploying soon. Cobra Commander waves him off, replying, don't bother. I've already sent allies to complete the mission before anyone finds out. With everyone distracted, Clutch seizes the opportunity and quietly slips away. Meanwhile, in the pit, Duke and Risk continue their heated brawl, trading blow after blow and shot after shot. Baroness, observing the fight, is surprised at Colonel Hawk's willingness to let it continue. So you consider this team building, she asks, sarcastically. Colonel Hawk shrugs, replying, I figured they should get it out of their systems now. As the fight intensifies, Risk attempts to lock Duke in an armbar, clearly demonstrating his expertise in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Duke, determined not to give in, fights to block the move. Duke throws Risk across the room and shouts, stand down, you're not on my team. Risk, slipping on his electric brass knuckles, smirks and retorts, are you even sure this is your team? Boy Scout, your last mission was a total failure. Maybe the Joes need a new leader. There's also a possibility that Risk knows something about a second G.I. Joe team involving Flint, introduced in Energon Universe Special 2024. Thankfully, the fight is interrupted by Stalker, who hurls a knife that lands perfectly between the two combatants. Stalker ridicules them for engaging in such a petty squabble, saying, you should be ashamed of yourselves. One of us is dead, another is missing, and you're busy with a bleeping measuring contest? Duke tries to justify himself, saying, Stalker, this guy insulted. Stalker cuts him off sharply. I don't care. This is some amateur garbage right now. Be men, shake hands. Damn it. Duke and Risk, ashamed, looks before reluctantly shaking hands. Stalker sighs and says, look at that. Everybody's friends again. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to call Rock and Roll's family. Get your bleeping act together as soon as possible, or we're going to lose in more ways than one. Duke, Baroness, Risk, and Colonel Hawk stand around the Energon laser gun that was confiscated, examining its remains. However, they know Cobra Commander had set a booby trap, causing all the guns to explode. Duke says, okay, we weren't able to retrieve much from the lab after the explosion, but we've got parts of these guns. They blew them up rather than letting us get our hands on a working one. Baroness nods and replies, it's exactly what I would have done as well. Risk chimes in, you said they fired lasers of this size. That kind of firepower and that energy source must be out of this world. Duke adds, the big guy who led the attack works with Destro. Baroness counters, but I thought Destro's Mars Industry was also attacked. Baroness references the attack on Mars Industries by Cobra from Cobra Commander Issue 5. Duke concludes, we're dealing with a new player in this. He holds up a symbol of Cobra. At the moment, CoverGirl rushes into the room. Sorry to interrupt, she says, catching her breath. A message just came over the secure line. It's garbled and we couldn't track its origin, but you'll want to hear this. A video transmission from Clutch comes through, revealing Cobra's plans for Dr. Mun-Eve. With Mun-Eve just 6 hours away from his congressional appearance, the Joes must act quickly to intercept him before Cobra can make their move. The G.I. Joes now have their second mission, to secure Dr. Mun-Eve before Cobra does. Duke declares, Joes, you heard him. We need to move fast. Get the jet fired up. In Washington, D.C., Dr. Mun Mun-Eve rides with his security detail en route to the capital. Conversing with one of the guards, Mun-Eve asks, "Are these precautions really necessary?" The security detail responds, "Dr. Mun-Eve, this is not a vacation. Our orders are to keep you safe and secure, and that's exactly what we're doing today." Mun-Eve replies, "What you and your small-minded authorities fail to understand is that my brainwave scanner is the future. It will help us better understand the human mind." The security guard counters, "You mean to control someone's mind, to reprogram people and turn them into slaves. Isn't that right, Dr. Venom?" Angrily, Mun-Eve says, "I despise that insulting nickname the press thought was so clever. These are people who would kill for my brainwave scanner." Just then, Mun-Eve notices something unsettling. Realizing they're not headed towards Congress, he exclaims, "Wait a moment, this isn't the way to the Capitol." The guard then reveals they aren't taking him to Congress. He's going to be coming with them. Mun-Eve asks who they are, only to be interrupted by the car attacked by Duke, Baroness, and Risk. They crash through the glass and release gas into the vehicle. Dr. Mun-Eve panics, thinking these attackers want to kill him, and resolves not to die like this. Suddenly, Duke says, "Not so fast, Doctor." Duke says, "We're here to save you," with a gun pointed at his head as Risk and Baroness drop in from parachutes. Duke adds, "We're your new ride, Dr. Mun-Eve." Dr. Mun-Eve replies, "Do I have a choice?" The Cobra security guard gets up and says, "You should choose Cobra. As for you, Joes, prepare to die," revealing an emblem of Cobra on his uniform. He is also a Crimson Guard. Risk immediately kicks him in the face, knocking him out. Duke says, "They don't look like Cobra soldiers who attacked the lab." Risk responds, "That's because they're Crimson Guard, Cobra sleeper agents. They could be anyone." Baroness adds, "I hate to admit it, but Risk is right. We need to move now. I've heard of the Crimson Guard as well. If they've been activated, their bosses can't be far behind." The team jumps on their motorcycles, including the iconic G.I. Joe Ram motorcycles, making its Energon Universe debut in this issue. Suddenly, Energon lasers rain down from above just as the Joes start their escape. Risk says, "You had to jinx us, Baroness. Now we've got to deal with Tomax and Xamon, the Crimson Twins." The Crimson Twins unleash a barrage of laser fire from Cobra's Stinger, relentlessly pursuing the Joes. The Crimson Twins and the Crimson Guard made their Energon Universe debut in the Destro miniseries. In that series, the Crimson Twins were portrayed as business rivals to Destro before being recruited by Cobra. However, it is also depicted that Crimson Guard as Tomax and Xamon's personal army rather than elite sleeper agents. The idea that Crimson Guards are Cobra sleeper agents who could be anywhere in society dates back to the original profile card and Marvel comic depiction. Get ready for an intense game of tag between the Crimson Twins, the G.I. Joes, with Dr. Mun-Eve being it. Presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe issue 4 in the Energon Universe is next. "Are you mad?" I'm beginning to believe he is. Quote, Dr. Mun-Eve and Baroness commenting on Duke's mental state. As Cobra gathers everything they need to complete their bid for world domination, the Joes respond with a new plan. Surrender? Presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe issue 4 in the Energon Universe. The G.I. Joe team speeds through the streets of Washington, D.C. with Dr. Archibald Mun-Eve, desperately trying to evade relentlessly pursuit of the Crimson Twins, Tomax and Xamon. Dr. Mun-Eve screams, "Are you mad?" Baroness smiles and replies, "I'm beginning to believe he is, but keep your head down if you wish to live, Dr. Mun-Eve." As the motorcycles tear through the city, Risk assesses the situation and says, "I've gamed this out, Duke. We only have a 40% chance of making it out of this alive." Duke, unfazed, responds, "The odds don't matter, Risk. We just need to keep moving and stay ahead of the Crimson Twins." However, their ram cycles are no match for the firepower of the Twin Stinger. Xamon smirks and says, "Pedal to the metal, brother. Show them what a Stinger is capable of." Risk, dodging the oncoming fire, mutters, "These guys are international arm dealers. I never expected them to be in the field like this." Baroness, equally surprised, shouts, "What the hell are a pair of CEOs doing with Cobra?" Tomax sneers, "Perhaps you'll pull your own weight, brother." Duke, keeping his focus, adds, "Mars was also working with them, Baroness." Just then, Xamon fires another barrage from the Stinger, intensifying the chase. A well-placed shot from the Stinger's missile strikes, knocking the G.I. Joes off their bikes. As they scramble to recover, they find themselves surrounded and cornered by the Crimson Crimson Guard. While Risk and Baroness prepare for a battle, Risk smirks and says, I can take out at least 3 of them. How about you? Baroness replies, would you just shut up and fight? Dr. Monet, panicking, exclaims, we're going to die. Duke assures him, not today, Doctor. They want you alive. However, Duke's expression darkens as he notices civilians caught in the chaos, fleeing from a massive explosion. Refusing to let innocent lives be lost, he makes a split-second decision. Dropping his pistol, he raises his hands and surrenders to Cobra. This has to stop, Duke declares. Duke raises his hands and says, we surrender. Baroness glares at him and demands, what are you doing? Before the Joes can react, the Crimson Guard swiftly knock them out. Tomax and Zaymont seize Dr. Monive. The Crimson Twins ask Dr. Monive, how would you like to join the winning team? Tomax and Zaymont finish each other's sentences, a trait carried from their A Real American Hero cartoon counterparts. Meanwhile, at a secret bunker in Shenandoah National Park, where the brainwave scanner is about to be shipped out, Stalker and Covergirl are sent to ensure it is returned to storage. However, the soldiers responsible for transporting the device do not believe them. When they receive an alert about the attack on Monive, they mistakenly assume the Joes are involved. Before Stalker and Covergirl can explain, the soldiers come under sniper fire from Chameleon. Chameleon smirks and says, money, huh? Now for the rest. She swiftly eliminates them one by one. Stalker and Covergirl attempt to get the truck back into the bunker. As they rush toward it, Covergirl says, we're pinned down. Stalker responds, splitting up the team was a mistake. Covergirl, but Duke was in such a damn hurry. It doesn't matter now. He continues, if we can get this truck back into the bunker, that should buy us enough time to call for backup. Despite the chaos, Stalker, exhausted from all the activity, winces in pain but pushes forward, muttering, duty calls. They are stopped by Ripper, who uses his power jaws to crush the front of the truck. Ripper says, sorry, mate, you ain't going nowhere. It's been a while since I got to see any action. I ain't been able to fire one of these fancy laser guns yet. He prepares to execute the Joes with his new laser gun, but Chameleon suggests, hold your fire, Ripper. These are the same people who gave Mercer trouble. I believe Destro would prefer we bring them in alive so he can interrogate them. Ripper smirks. A fate worse than death. Look like we're going on a double date, ready to hit the road. Ripper, who joined Cobra after being abducted by Cobra Commander and Cobra Commander Issue 5, debuts a new Cobra uniform in this issue. He is also armed with his signature weapons, power jaws, and a bladed rifle, though slightly redesigned. Notable, Ripper is not dressed in his usual dreadlock gear, but in a style more akin to Mercer's. These weapons make their debut in this issue, closely resembling the versions from Ripper's G.I. Joe Classified Series figure. In Springfield, Destro meets with Mercer. Destro asks, were you able to retrieve it? Mercer responds, right on time. Managed to sneak it out before it was incinerated. Mercer has secretly retrieved the body of the Cobra Law agent who attempted to assassinate Cobra Commander. The agent's skin suit is falling off, revealing his blue skin. Mercer adds, as far as Cobra Commander or anyone else is concerned, the spy's body was destroyed. But boss, this is all kind of wrong. Check it out. This guy's wearing some kind of flesh suit, and underneath his skin is blue. I've never seen anything like it. But that's not all. No way. Is this metal? Something's fishy here. The commander isn't telling us the whole story. Destro calmly replies, doesn't matter. He can have his secrets for now. Destro says as long as he gives us the Energon until we can generate our own, our alliance with Cobra Commander stands. This conversation is being eavesdropped on by Clutch, who concludes that this Energon must be what's powering Cobra's laser gun and is some kind of energy source. Suddenly, the lights of the facility turn red, and the Cobra forces begin mobilizing, much to Destro's confusion. Still disguised as a Cobra Viper, Clutch uses the chaos to escape onto one of the transport helicopters. Scrap Iron informs Destro that the commander has ordered everyone to relocate to Mars headquarters. At Mars Industries in Washington, D.C., Chameleon and Ripper arrive at Mars headquarters with a brainwave scanner in tow, followed by Destro and Mercer, then Tomax and Zaymont with Dr. Monive. The brainwave scanner is being unloaded from the truck as Ripper warns a Cobra trooper to be careful, saying, that bad boy is one of a kind. Destro storms in furious, demanding, what is the meaning of this? Why are we here? Chameleon responds, calm down, lover. Ripper and I have followed your lead and retrieved the brainwave scanner. But then we received an order to return to Mars. Destro asks, by whom? As Mercer responds, Destro, look who it is. Euro trash. The Crimson Twins smirk as one of them says, the gang's all here, while pushing Dr. Moniv toward his invention. Your prize, Doctor, they sneer. Moniv, confused and alarmed, demands, what the hell is this all about? But his surprise only deepens when he sees the device before him. My Bravewave scanner, you recovered it, he exclaims. Ripper scoffs. Wasn't easy, mate. What does that thing do anyway? Dr. Moniv replies, it was built to help people. It can alter memories, move them, or implant them. Suddenly a voice cuts through the air. It is Cobra Commander stepping forward on a hiss tank, surrounded by Ripper, Dr. Moniv, the Crimson Twins, Mercer, Chameleon, and Destro. Cobra Commander stands atop of a platform and declares, but in Cobra's hands, it will create a new world order. Destro, visibly frustrated, demands, why are we here, Commander? You do not inform me of this change in plans. Cobra Commander responds, these G.I. Joes have somehow managed to intercept us at every turn, so I felt it was too early to risk Springfield. Destro narrows his eyes, so instead you compromised me? Cobra Commander remains unfazed. Once all is revealed, you will thank me. We will merge Dr. Moniv's brain scanner with the technology we have acquired, then power it with our Energon to create something new, something far more powerful. His voice rises with excitement. We will create a brainwave bomb. Mercer scoffs. A bomb? You just want to blow people up? That's it? We don't need all this fancy tech to do that. Cobra Commander chuckles. Don't be so dull, Mercer. No, this bomb won't kill anyone. It will send a message. Anyone caught within the blast radius will have no choice but to follow just 2 words. Obey Cobra. Dr. Moniv's eyes widen and with intrigue. Fascinating. But we would need a trial run first. Any test subject would likely need to be persuaded. Cobra Commander smirks. Of course, Doctor, you're in luck. We have a guest. Elsewhere, Stalker and Cover Girl are escorted by Cobra Commander to a cell where Risk, Baroness, and Duke are already being held. Risk sighs. Damn, they got you too, huh? Stalker nods. They outnumbered us. As the Joes are chained by their legs, a Cobra Commander sneers, keep moving. Baroness scoffs, this is not how I like to die. We had a fighting chance, but our fearless leader surrendered. Duke looks around at his team, his voice firm. Listen to all of you. Giving in, giving up, I need you to trust me. We've got Cobra right where we want them. Surrounded by Cobra troops wielding Energon-powered guns, the Joes remain restrained, but Duke's confidence doesn't waver. Next, presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe, issue 5 in the Energon Universe. G.I. Joe versus Cobra. G.I. Joe has suffered massive losses at the hands of Cobra, and now their backs are against the wall. Is this their last stand? How far will the Joes go to finally stop Cobra's plans? Presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe issue 5 in the Energon Universe. Mercer welcomes the captured G.I. Joes to Cobra's Mars Industries base. Mercer says, why do we keep meeting like this, Duke? Duke responds, you really should just kill us now before we kill you. Baroness snaps. Duke, shut up. Have you lost your mind? Mercer smirks and says, maybe he has, but kill you? Nah. Buddy, why would we go and do a thing like that? We've got all kinds of plans for you and your little sidekicks. First, a detour to see an old friend. With that, Mercer shoves Duke forward. Mercer references his and Duke's prior meetings in the first issues of Duke and this series, as well as his encounters with Destro in the former. Mercer reintroduces Duke to his old enemy, Destro, who proceeds to have him beaten. Mercer delivers a flurry of kicks, punches, and stomps to Duke through gritted teeth. Duke says, you're not getting anything out of me, Destro. Blood drips onto the floor from his wound, but Duke smirks and adds, that's the best you got? Destro observes, you should be dead. Then, with a cold smirk, he continues, you have an uncanny ability to survive everything we throw at you, but maybe your true weakness is your team. Destro grabs Baroness by the hair and says, perhaps this calls for torture to find your breaking point and to see what bleeds out. Baroness glares at him defiantly and responds, I like to see you try. Instead of anger, Destro sees her defiance as a sign of strength. He looks at her with respect and perhaps even a little attraction. When threatening to torture Duke's team, Destro targets Baroness, which may be in part due to their romantic connection in prior stories. Chameleon offers to handle the torture, but but Destro shuts her down. Chameleon once again calls Destro lover, referencing the relationship that started between them at the end of his self-titled series. Turning his attention back to Duke and the G.I. Joes, Destro demands, how were you able to intercept Cobra at both the brainwave scanner shipping site and during Dr. Moniv's kidnapping? Duke laughs, blood running down his face, his teeth broken and his eyes swollen. You just gave yourself away, Chrome Dome, he taunts. I do know something you don't. Destro narrows his eyes. And what is that? With a grin, Duke mutters, Clutch! Hit it! A roaring his tank engine suddenly echoes through the base. Clutch was already in the room, and even better, he was sitting inside a his tank. Without hesitation, he unleashes a barrage of Energon gunfire, pelting the Cobra officers with relentless firepower. Clutch has been hiding out amongst Cobra's ranks since the end of issue 2. Destro shouts, Return fire, you fools, as the Cobra troops open fire on the his tanks, while Mercer shields his boss. Ripper cowers on the ground once again. Meanwhile, Duke and the Joes take cover behind the tanks. Ripper cowers on the ground when the battle begins, just as he did when a similar Energon gunfight broke out in Cobra Commander issue 5, something which itself was due to all the harrowing events he endured fighting the Commander and Nemesis Enforcer alongside his fellow Dreadnought prior issues of the Cobra Commander series. Simultaneously, in another part of the facility, Cobra Commander and Dr. Archibald Monive work on the modifying the brainwave scanner. Dr. Monive asks Cobra Commander, this new power you found to fuel your weapons, this Energon, is remarkable, unlike anything I've ever seen. Monive then points out the sound of battle in the distance, but the commander dismisses it without concern. Instead, he reveals a side effect of the scanner's modification. Not only will it enslave the minds of everyone within its blast radius, but due to the Energon's immense power, it will also erase all prior memories and personalities. Cobra Commander weighs off the concern, calling it a worthy sacrifice before ordering Monive to get back to work. Back in the other room, Tomax and Zaymont arrive on the scene, and Scrap Iron brings out the bazooka to blow up Clutch's hiss. The bazooka round strikes the hiss tank, forcing Clutch and the Joes to leap out just in time to escape the explosion. They quickly regroup, taking over alongside their teammates. Clutch shoots off Duke's handcuff and says, how the hell did saving me turn into me saving you? The G.I. Joe team discusses their next course of action. Duke says, we're pinned down and the door is our only exit. CoverGirl responds, there's got to be another way. Baroness counters, how? We don't have any weapons. Rick says, we still have our hands. Duke smirks and says, finally we agree on something, Risk. Meanwhile, Destro orders the Cobra troopers, shoot to kill. Duke turns back to the team. We just need to make it across the room. Baroness says, our best chance is to take the weapons off Cobra as we engage the first wave. Clutch shakes his head. That's a suicide mission. Duke stands firm. If I die today, I'm glad to know it's alongside this team. For rock and roll, the rest of the team shouts in unison. The Joes pay tribute to Rock and Roll, who was killed by Cobra Vipers at the end of issue 1 before making their last stand. Duke takes a deep breath and yells, Yo, Joe! Destro watches in disbelief. They're mad, he exclaims as the Cobra troopers fire a barrage of laser blasts. Despite being unarmed, the entire G.I. Joe team charges forward with only their fists. Duke is the first to engage, landing a powerful strike. CoverGirl follows right behind him, swiftly disarming a Cobra trooper and turning his own Energon gun against him. Baroness takes out the legs of another trooper before following up with a series of precise roundhouse kicks. As planned, the team fights their way through the enemy forces, seizing weapons and using them to turn the tide of battle. Clutch disarms a Cobra soldier and hurls them into the others, creating chaos. Stalker follows up with a powerful kick, seizing an Energon gun and firing at another enemy. Meanwhile, Risk fights relentlessly, bloodied and bruised but determined. One by one, the Cobra forces collapse, wounded and defeated. Destro in a panic shouts, someone do something before they get their hands on real weapons. Duke smirks and responds, too late. With that, he hurls a bomb directly at Destro and Chameleon. Destro and Chameleon are thrown by the ground by the explosion. Tomax and Zema, unimpressed by the Mars CEO's handling of the situation, leave in disgust. Meanwhile, Ripper remains on the floor cowering and asking, is it over? With the Joes now armed and the Cobra forces retreating, Baroness turns to the team and asks, what now? The Joes rush to the helipad and sees a transport helicopter. Duke quickly gets everyone on board. Risk insists we should keep fighting. Duke, assessing their condition, replies, we're too hurt, Risk. We regroup and return with backup. As Baroness pilots the aircraft, Destro shouts in frustration, damn it! The Joes make their escape in Cobra Transport Helicopter, a non-toy vehicle that appeared frequently in the original A Real American Hero comics. Destro gives chase in a Fang, shouting, "I refuse to let our fight end this way." Inside the stolen chopper, Baroness spots him, then realizes Duke isn't aboard. Within Mars headquarters, Maneve and Cobra Commander marvel the former's work on the Bravewave scanner. The commander suggests preparing the bomb for transport, but Maneve reminds him that Destro didn't bring a test subject. As he leans into the machine, his captor suddenly shoves him inside. The restraints lock him in place, and despite his protest that the device could kill him, the commander pulls the lever. While the scanner doesn't work, Destro contacts Cobra Commander, informing him of the Joe's escape. With the commotion drawing attention, more military forces may be on the way, so they must accelerate their plans. Cobra Commander assures him he'll handle the bomb's transportation and hangs up. Before he can leave, however, Duke presses a gun to his head and demands, "Who the hell are you?" Next, presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe issue 6 in the Energon Universe. "You should have run like your team did. They only ran because I ordered them to. Luckily, they don't listen to me." Quote, Cobra Commander and Duke. Duke versus Cobra Commander. It's all been leading to this. And the ending no one will see coming. Presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe issue 6 in the Energon Universe. With Duke holding him at gunpoint, Cobra Commander decides to introduce himself. "My name is Cobra Commander," he says. Duke replies, "With a title like that, I take it you're the man in charge. What did you do to Dr. Monive?" Cobra Commander smirks. "Don't worry about him. You should worry about me." Duke shouts even louder, "Don't move another muscle. I'm glad we finally met face to face." Then Duke asks, "How do you know my name?" Cobra Commander answers, "Destro told me about you. I must say, you and I are very alike." Cobra Commander continues, "We were both loyal to something greater than ourselves, willing to give everything for its cause, only to be betrayed, cast aside. And yet, while you went crawling back to your masses, I created something new. I was forced to find answers and a new role in the universe, one more important than the one I had before. Even now, it appears you're surrounding yourself with people to help further your personal quests. Lambs to the slaughter." Cobra Commander first learned about Duke from Destro in the first issue of this series. However, he seemed to know far more about Duke's recent history, including his encounter with the Transformers, than could have been gleaned from the brief interaction. While it's possible that Destro, who accessed General Flag's files and learned the full story of Duke's run-in with Starscream in Destro 4, told him off panel, that seems unlikely given Destro's clear distrust of the commander. During Cobra Commander's "We're Not So Different" speech, we see flashbacks that parallel the journeys of both Duke and Cobra Commander. Duke rejects the notion, saying, "We're nothing alike." Cobra Commander responds, "Perhaps you're right, and that's why you will lose." At that moment, the commander fully activates the brainwave bomb. Two questions remain. What is he doing, and what comes next? Cobra Commander says the brain bomb will go off in 5 minutes. When it does, it will kill everyone in the immediate area, and then everyone within 5 miles will have their minds turned into loyal followers of Cobra. Duke demands, "Deactivate it now." But Cobra Commander continues, "Duke, you're welcome to try, but the only way to shut it down now is to kill the good Dr. Monive. I saw a glimmer of hope. I thought I'd found an enemy worthy of a challenge, but this is the end. Goodbye." As Cobra Commander turns his back, Duke raises his weapon and says, "Sorry to disappoint you, but you're not going anywhere." He opens fire, but Cobra Commander blocks the bullets with his metal gauntlet and fires back with Energon Blast. Cobra Commander was seen upgrading his Energon Blasting Gauntlet, first introduced in Cobra Commander 4, back in issue number 1 of G.I. Joe. Meanwhile, Destro pursues the escaping Joes in a Fang. Destro says G.I. Joe must not escape. As Baroness tries to evade his fire, Clutch insists they go back to rescue Duke. Despite her objections, Clutch goads her into turning around, much to Destro's shock, Chameleon reports to him that Cobra Commander has activated the brain bomb, with the likelihood of the Joes being caught in its blast. Destro orders the rest of Cobra to return to Springfield. As Duke and Cobra Commander continue their fight on the roof, Duke charges forward while Cobra Commander keeps firing. Duke manages to get close enough to knock him to the floor. He then plants his foot on Cobra Commander's metal gauntlet and points a gun directly at his head. Duke fires a round into Cobra Commander's visor, but it ricochets and hits Duke in the shoulder. Cobra Commander then kicks him off, screaming, "You're out of time." Cobra Commander puts the gauntlet to the back of Duke's head, but Duke whips around and grabs it. Cobra Commander says, "You must see that you've lost, Duke, that you should run away in hopes of living to fight another day." But Duke counters, "I don't need to win. I just need to keep you within the brainwave bomb blast radius so you die too." The commander responds that he's not afraid to die, but Duke retorts, "Maybe not, but when the bomb goes off, your Cobra empire grows. Cobra becomes the world's leader. Can you die knowing you won't get to see it?" In response, Cobra Commander turns and fires an energon blast through Dr. Moniv's head, shutting down the brainwave bomb. Duke says, "What did you do?" Cobra Commander replies, "I warned you. Turning off the bomb meant sacrifice." Duke is furious. Duke throws a haymaker but misses. Cobra Commander takes out his sword and cuts Duke. Duke is battered, bloody, and drops to the floor. Cobra Commander says, "You forced my hand. You should have run like your team did." Duke replies, "They only ran because I ordered them to." Cobra Commander then retrieves a small orb from the brainwave scanner. Duke continues, "Luckily, my team didn't listen to me." As the other Joes arrive, Cobra Commander takes his leave, telling Duke that he looks forward to their further battles. In Springfield, Cobra regroups. Destro is outraged that Cobra Commander's actions have compromised Mars so completely, but the commander remains unbothered. He revels that while the brainwave bomb was merely one means to an end, his true goal in merging the brainwave scanner with the Cybertron shard was to unlock a hidden piece of technology. He then declares that it's time for Destro to learn the truth about the robots in disguise on Earth. The pit the Joes recover. Duke reports to Colonel Hawk that they've lost, but Hawk simply commends him for surviving the incident. Duke reaffirms that while the Joes need more training and time in the field together, their unique abilities were what ensured their survival. However, he emphasizes that they can't lose focus on why the Joes were formed in the first place, to find the robot that killed Frosting. Duke is still furious about Frosting's death back in Transformers issue 2. Meanwhile, Clutch decides to go for a drive to clear his head. He hops into an old army jeep parked outside the pit and places his bag in the passenger's seat. In Clutch's bag is a black ball with a Cobra logo. It's unclear whether Clutch knows it's there or not. He's enjoying the open air as he drives, but suddenly he's thrown from the jeep. The jeep transforms into a giant robot. It's Hound, the Autobot tracker. Hound wishes he were human. The dark barren metal capes of Cybertron no longer interest to him. Now that he's been shipwrecked on Earth, he considers this planet his home. He sees humankind as a beautiful and longs to interact with their ecosphere the way they do, to feel what they feel, to see what they see. Hound makes his Energon Universe debut in this issue, also making the first proper appearance of a Transformers in the main G.I. Joe title. We previously saw an arm that appeared to be belonged to Hound among the Autobot remains aboard the Ark in Transformers issue 1. What is he doing here? We'll find out in the Energon Universe 2025 special. But next, presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe issue 7 in the Energon Universe. From Earth to the depths of space, the war for the Energon Universe is only beginning. 3 all-new stories from the Energon Universe featuring G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Void Rivals. Presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics. Energon Universe 2025 special. From the pages of G.I. Joe, we open with a flashback of Hound explaining, "Your world is beautiful, so different from Cybertron. I wish I could explore its majesty too, but that cannot be. I slept for centuries hidden until they woke me. I don't know what triggered it, but I must return to my mission. I must find the rest of my people. My role is to scout, to gather information for the Autobots in a war against the Decepticons. That's how I found you, a fellow soldier." Then Hound turns Clutch and asks, "Now, how do you have Energon? Where did you get it?" Hound first appeared at the end of G.I. Joe issue 6 and in the Energon Universe 2024 special as we begin to see a relationship between Hound the Autobot and Clutch the G.I. Joe soldier. Hound was deactivated until Jetfire activated the arc in Transformers issue 1. Hound is an Autobot scout with the ability to generate holograms. Lance Steinberg, aka Clutch, is an old friend of Duke and a graduate of MIT. Hound screams at Clutch, demanding that he answer. Clutch pulls out a machine gun and fires it at Hound. Hound screams at Clutch to stop as the bullets just bounce off him. Clutch shouts, "No way, you damn things killed good people." We see a flashback of the devastation caused by the Decepticons killing humans as Clutch runs from Hound shouting, "But I think I have an idea on how to take you down." Hound fires back, but seemingly not to kill Clutch, just to knock him to the ground. Hound says, "I do not want this fight," as Clutch replies, "You want Energon," while reaching for the Energon. He then says this was a mistake as he starts transforming, but Clutch grabs an Energon Cobra grenade and throws it at Hound. Hound, clearly injured, says, "I only want to talk. I am hurt. I can no longer transform," as Clutch walks over to him. Hound says, "I meant you no harm," as Clutch, beginning to trust him, replies, "I could take you back to the pit, but they rip you apart." Clutch visits an old buddy. The old buddy lifts a gun and Clutch says, "Whoa, hey, I come in peace." Clutch says, "Tracker." Tracker replies, "What do you want, Clutch?" Matt Tracker is from Mask, Mobile, Armed, Strike, Command. However, after Miles Mayhem killed Andy Tracker and stole half of their jointly developed technology to form his criminal organization, Venom, Matt created Mask in his brother's honor. He now uses his share of tech to fight crime and counter Mayhem's growing threat. Matt had originally worked alongside his brother Andy and Miles Mayhem in the creation of the Mask tech. He often the first to uncover Venom's activities and leads his team with courage and enthusiasm, never afraid to take on the riskiest parts of the mission. Clutch continues, "Listen, I know it's been a while and you hate uninvited guests. Don't freak out, okay?" Clutch shows Tracker the injured Hound and says, "I need your help." Tracker replies, "Finally, bring it in." Clutch, surprised by his calm reactions. "Why are you not surprised to see a giant robot?" Tracker's working on Hound and says, "Never thought you'd get pulled into service, let alone with some top secret fighting force." "What did they say they were called?" Clutch replies, "G.I. Joe. If you want, I can talk to them, put in a good word. You fit right in." Tracker says, "I prefer to walk alone." Clutch responds, "Hey, how do you know how to work on this tech anyway?" Tracker smirks and says, "If I told you, I'd have to kill you." Clutch thinks Tracker is joking, though Tracker might not be. Suddenly, Hound shouts, "Incoming! We've got incoming! Run!" The Decepticon Ravage comes crashing through the window. He had also been tracking the Energon. Clutch screams, "What the hell?" as the Ravage has the Clutch, Hound, and Tracker in his sight. Tracker fires bullets at Ravage, but they just bounce off. Clutch knows bullets don't work against Transformers. Ravage chases after Tracker, knocking him to the floor. Clutch realizes Ravage is hunting the Energon, and suddenly Ravage locks onto it and lunges at Clutch. As Clutch falls to the ground, he raises his arms to shield his face, just as Hound grabs Ravage by the tail and slams him into a nearby machinery. Hound then grabs Ravage and hurls him aside. Hound fires as Ravage disappears. Clutch asks, "What the hell was that?" Hound replies, "We should go. They will return with more." Tracker has Hound and Clutch ready to hit the road again. Clutch thanks Tracker and tells him to stay out of trouble. Tracker replies, "Look like you found more than enough." He then adds firmly, "And don't tell anyone about this, okay? You didn't see me." Clutch says to Hound, "Okay, big guy, I think we got off on the wrong foot. Let's start over." Hound replies, "Ride with me." As Hound makes the iconic transforming sound, Clutch jumps into the vehicle. Clutch says, "You can stop calling me human, by the way. My name is Lance, but people call me Clutch." Hound replies, "You may call me Hound. Where did you get the Energon weapon, Clutch?" Clutch answers, "Oh yeah, well, it wasn't off any giant robots. I stole it off these guys called Cobra." Hound says, "Tell me more about this Cobra." We then cut to the swamps where a Cobra vehicle is stationed deep within an Energon-laced marsh. We find Buzzard in the swamps where a Cobra trooper says, We're just here to move some of the leftover energon from the swamps. Buzzard questions Destro's orders. The Cobra Trooper replies, we used to work with Destro, but now some new guy took over. Buzzard asks, does this new bloke wear a shiny faceplate? The Cobra soldier responds, yeah, his name is Cobra Commander. Buzzard says, that's the one. He took everything from us. Once we get our bloody hands on him. Buzzard, who has a chainsaw grafted on his arm, says, it's war. The chainsaw was cut off by Nemesis in my orders were not to open the box. That's the thing, Beachhead. Our team, we don't play by the rules. Quote, Beachhead and Lady J, a standalone Night Force covert op, the first appearance of the iconic Beachhead. But is this really his last mission? The new G.I. Joe epic starts here. Presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe issue 7 in the Energon Universe. As Colonel Hawk continues moving into the new G.I. Joe base at the pit, CoverGirl discovers a file filled with redactions discussing something called Night Force. When she asks about it, Hawk tells her it was an old project of his from before they worked together. He takes the file and shreds it, telling her he'll handle any more extra files. Night Force was teased over a year before this issue's release in the G.I. Joe portion of the Energon Universe 2024 special, where we first met Flint and Lady J and learned of Hawk's plan for a second team of Joes. Night Force is a G.I. Joe sub-team. They are covert unit outfitted and equipped for nighttime surveillance and defensive operations. With specialized skills, advanced technology, and sophisticated hardware, they rely on the element of surprise to strike the enemy under cover of darkness and accomplish their missions. It is the largest of the G.I. Joe sub-teams. Hawk also mentions that Duke is still recovering from his battle with Cobra Commander in the last issue. Meanwhile, at the private beachfront property of Victor Foley, Army Ranger Beachhead thinks to himself, no matter how dangerous the mission, this one makes my life a whole lot easier. The house belongs to Victor Foley, the latest in a long line of old men with too much money. Instead of donating or helping people he collects, I've been tasked with retrieving a hot item that recently came into his possession. His guards are exemplary. He didn't go for any cheap mercs. These guys are top dollar. Long shifts, trained in Paris, back up on alert, and just 90 seconds out. Sneaking up on them is next to impossible. Beachhead continues to think to himself, I knew the shipment was on a freight coming from Darklonia and arriving at this location. They'd be on high alert when it did, but that was the rub. I had no idea when it would arrive, which meant getting here early, really early. Beachhead mentions the crate was coming from Darklonia, which was first introduced back in Destro issue 1. Beachhead jumps out ironically onto a beach covered in camouflage and swiftly takes down two of the soldiers. Wayne R. Sneeden, codenamed Beachhead, was born into poverty in Auburn, Alabama. For much of his youth, he was bullied to his low economic status. However, rather than letting this wear him down, Wayne devoted himself to rising above his circumstances to become the best he could possibly be. Ultimately, he became the star of his high school, excelling in both athletics and academic. Beachhead is the ultimate Army Ranger. He is trained in all forms of combat and weaponry, though his favorite specialty is explosives. He can build or disarm an explosive device of any size. He served as a lane instructor at the Ranger School in Fort Benning and also worked as an observer advisor at the Covert Ops School in Central America. Personality and traits. Beachhead is meticulous, patient, and strong-willed. He is also highly intelligent, having graduated as a valedictorian of his high school class. He doesn't get angry. He believes anger is a waste of energy. Instead, he prefers to get even, and he's very good at it. The only thing that truly irritates him among his comrades is when they don't give 100% to get the job done. Nothing bothers Beachhead more than apathy. His life is defined by patience, discipline, and absolute dedication to his profession. When Beachhead hits the ground running, he doesn't stop until he reaches his objective. A true airborne ranger, he rises before the sun and completes a 10-mile run before starting regular PT sessions with the unit. Beachhead likes to be the first one out of the helicopter during a combat assault because he knows he can provide the best covering and suppressive fire to allow his team to deploy safely. To him, anger doesn't accomplish anything. It's better to channel that energy into Action. Beachhead continues. I spent 3 days on the beach, but it was worth it. Foley collects all weapons from different eras. He won't even know what hit his house or who stole his toy. I prefer the jungle, hiding in the bush, but those kinds of missions are few and far between now. The higher-ups want me to slow down, become a trainer, but my skill set is mine and mine alone. Once you start training people, you just start training your replacement. I'm not ready to be put to passer just yet. Beachhead's brief stated that the target was a box. Beachhead says, "You got to be kidding me. How the hell am I going to get you out of here?" He locates his target, a 7-foot-tall crate labeled 47 in Foley's study. It's far too large to sneak out, so a frustrated Beachhead is forced to wheel it out through the house. Beachhead accidentally crosses paths with Foley himself in the process, just as Foley grabs 3 glasses of wine for himself and 2 companions. However, as the old man leaves, Beachhead realizes he's not alone. A bloodhound leaps down from the darkness above and attacks him. He fends off the attacker with a pair of swords from Foley's collection, only to draw the attention of even more hounds. Beachhead thinks to himself, something I just realized about this mission. I thought it would be easy. That was my first mistake. Beachhead looks straight at the bloodhounds as Foley sings a song and says to the 2 young ladies in the bed, "May I propose a toast to old money." Their fight tears through the house and into Foley's bedroom while 2 of the hounds chain the box to a trunk for transport. Beachhead throws elbows and punches as the battle intensifies. With some quick thinking, Beachhead leaps onto the box as it pulled along by the truck. Foley screams, "My house! Where are my guards?" As Beachhead surfs on the crate, he shouts, "Come on!" A bloodhound jumps onto the crate from the back of the truck. Beachhead uses his legs to throw him off, then manages to shoot the chain and disconnect the box. He mutters, "Now I gotta find a way to get you back to base." Beachhead spots the remaining bloodhounds approaching on motorcycle. He thinks to himself, crap, I liked it better when they only had the antique weapons. I asked for one last mission to prove who I am. I just didn't think it would be my last mission. Thankfully, a light shines down from a skyhawk above, which airlifts Beachhead and the box to safety. The bloodhounds report back to Major Bludd that they failed, prompting him to execute them, all in a fit of frustration. Major Bludd says, "Try harder next time. This was never my target anyway. My hope was that this would draw out her team. Never expected there were 2 of them. Now, if we're going to find my prey, I'm going to need to hire new help." Her refers to the Baroness. Major Bludd and his bloodhounds make their return after debuting in the pages of Duke. Bludd himself has now gotten his trademark eye patch, having had his eye shot out by the Baroness in Duke issue 3. Beachhead thinks to himself, that was my last shot and I blew it. I might have gotten the box, but it got loud. They're going to make me train a bunch of meatheads now. I got bad intel on this assignment. The old man was supposed to be alone, and no one said anything about any damn bloodhound. I got a ride, but it's a one-way trip to the retirement house. The Skyhawk lands, and rather than thanking his rescuers, an irritated Beachhead tells Flint and Lady J that he didn't want their help. The vehicle Flint and Lady J used to rescue Beachhead is a Skyhawk, one of the original vehicles from the 1984 range of the original A Real American Hero line. Lady J snapped, "We just saved your hide, Beachhead, and this is how you thank us?" Beachhead scowls. "You want a trophy, Lady J? Tell your bosses I'm not done yet. I'm not becoming some drill sergeant, and I'm sure as hell ain't joining a team. That's not what we want," Lady J replies. Flint steps forward. "The world is changing, Beachhead. Things are happening out there that need your skills." Beachhead says, "Save the sales pitch, Flint. I already heard all about Conrad's team. A bunch of damn cheerleaders fighting robots. Not for me, no thank you." Flint replies, "Our missions will be a bit different. Next level, top secret, operating in the shadows, dealing with things no one can ever know about." Lady J adds, "Long story short, I don't think Duke is going to approve of our methods very much." Beachhead narrows his eyes. "What's that supposed to mean?" Flint opens the crate. Beachhead snaps, "My orders were not to open the box." Lady J says, "That's the thing, Beachhead. We don't play by the rules." Inside the crate, a bat, a battle android trooper. Most likely this bat has been aiding the revolution in Darklonia. Next, presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe issue 8 in the Energon Universe. Major Bludd is back for revenge against the woman who took his eye, the Baroness. Now the Baroness must decide whether protecting herself means staying with G.I. Joe. She and CoverGirl find themselves hunted while on what was supposed to be a relaxing getaway in Paris. Presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe, issue 8 in the Energon Universe. Alarms blare in the pit, the secret headquarters of G.I. Joe. CoverGirl and Risk sneak down a hallway knowing they are getting closer to finding the Baroness. Risk says Baroness is not getting away from us as CoverGirl replies, we should split up. Unbeknownst to them, the Baroness is hiding in the rafters above. CoverGirl says there are no exits in this section of the pit. Go down that corridor and loop around. We'll trap her. As CoverGirl draws her weapon, the Baroness easily sneaks up behind her, dodges around a surprise attack, delivers a swift roundhouse kick and a leg sweep, then shoots her in the chest with a paintball gun. As the Baroness stands over CoverGirl, she says, you're dead, CoverGirl. CoverGirl replies, so are you. Baroness then says, excuse me, as the Baroness is suddenly hit with a paintball right on her star. Risk adds, you stop to pose, Baroness, always a mistake. It's revealed that this was all a training exercise. Over the speaker, a voice says, training exercise complete. Risk says, you fell for a little splitting up rouge, but Baroness disagrees. I did no such thing. Duke walks in and says, Risk is right, Baroness. You should have known CoverGirl was just bait to draw you out. Your head isn't fully in this. Stalker adds, the moves were good, though. I loved you hiding in the ceiling. The Baroness replies, this is a waste of my time, Duke. How do these games help us? Duke responds, the fight we have ahead of us is not a game. Anastasia, we really got our asses handed to us at Mars Industries, and we're lucky we escaped. He claps his hand and says, okay, everybody, let's do it again. Start from the top. 2 versus 2 this time. Stalker, you're teaming with Baroness. CoverGirl groans, again? Duke, come on. We've been running these training exercises all morning. Duke replies firmly, and you're going to do it again and again. We need to be ready for Cobra. At Cobra headquarters, Destro and Cobra Commander discuss the recent events involving alien robots in Seattle. The commander even shares vague details about his own past encounters with the machines. Both agree Cobra is not ready to intervene in the robots' conflict. Destro proposes sending Mercer to Seattle to recover any useful pieces of technology, but Cobra Command has his sights set on something bigger, acquiring an intact specimen. Together, they watch footage of the brutal battle between Bruticus and Devastator from Transformers issue 18. Cobra Commander then reveals that he once had possession of a damaged robot, but no longer knows where it is. What the Cobra Commander doesn't realize is that Megatron has already freed himself from Cobra La during the Transformers segment of the Energon Universe 2024 special and has since reclaimed control of the Decepticons in Transformers issue 20. Meanwhile, Clutch returns to the pit with Hound. Although the Autobot is eager to explore more of Earth, Clutch insists on keeping him hidden, worried about what might happen if the other Joes discover him. Clutch is suddenly startled by the unexpected appearance of Duke, who questions him about the new car. Nervously, Clutch claims it's just his latest pet project. Duke senses that something isn't quite right, but chalks it up to Clutch being shaken after his encounter with Cobra. He offers Clutch some time off to recover. This annoys the Baroness as she isn't permitted to leave the pit. She asks Duke for 48 hours of leave, and Duke reluctantly agrees. When the Baroness arrives at her private plane later, however, she learns that her leave will not be unsupervised. CoverGirl is tagging along. Although the Baroness insists she doesn't need a babysitter, CoverGirl reveals she agrees with her. The Joes need some rest and relaxation. Arriving in Paris, Courtney is excited and asks Baroness what she wants to do first, but the Baroness has already given her chaperone the slip. The Baroness zooms through the Parisian streets on a motorcycle until she arrives at a cafe where the waiter is already expecting her. CoverGirl arrives minutes later, having placed a tracker in the Baroness' boot back on the plane. A mysterious stalker is watching the Baroness for Major Bludd. The stalker says, I found her, Major Bludd. Major Bludd responds, perfect timing. I'm putting the final touches on a poem I've written for her. I call it An Eye for an Eye. Major Bludd is shown writing the poem referencing his well-known love of poetry from the Marvel A Real American Hero series. CoverGirl says to the Baroness, If you just want to escape and go on the run, fine, just do it then. I don't care. I get a free trip out of it either way. I'll go back to Duke and explain that you did exactly what everyone expected you to do, that you were predictable. The Baroness replies, is it too much to ask for a little privacy? Covergirl shoots back. For what? Fine, look across the street. Try to be discreet if you can manage that. The Baroness reveals that the real reason she asked for time away was to see her parents, who are dining at another restaurant across the street to celebrate their anniversary. However, when Courtney suggests going over to see them, Anastasia refuses, not wanting to spoil their evening. We got our first glimpse of the Baroness' parents in Duke issue 3, when Duke filled Clutch in her history. As a wanted war criminal, the Baroness feels she would only disappoint them, especially when they seem to be having such a great time. CoverGirl says parents can be like that. They ask questions because they want to know us and be part of our lives, but it can feel like a lot sometimes. When I was a kid, my parents wanted me to be a model. That was the only future they saw for me. I was good at it, damn good, but it wasn't me. It wasn't what I wanted. I found something I was good at, and not everyone gets that, you know? Especially not my parents. It's my life, not theirs. Right, Baroness? The Baroness feels the connection and quietly says, please call me Anastasia. Just then, suddenly, a call breaks the moment. A flock of falcons descends on the cafe, pecking and scratching at the customers before turning their attention to Covergirl and Baroness. More and more falcons are coming, screeching down, attacking the customers. It's an unbelievable sight. The chaotic scene with falcons attacking multiple civilians in the streets evokes a similar vibe to Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, as people run for cover, some rushing inside, others fleeing into the streets. The Baroness says, I'll take care of the people here, but you must make sure my parents are safe. They cannot see me. Hundreds of falcons are swarming in, but they seem to ignore the other patrons and civilians, targeting only the Baroness and Covergirl. One falcon claws down Covergirl's back, causing her to cry out in pain. The Baroness fights back with a knife, slashing at the birds, but one quickly cuts her hand. Meanwhile, the mystery man who was sent by Major Bludd watches from a nearby rooftop and says, hello, Baroness. They are stopped by the arrival of the man controlling the birds, Raptor. The avian adversary delivers a message to the Baroness. My name is Raptor. Major Bludd demands your audience. Raptor is a character who originated in the 1987 line of a Real American Hero toys. His appearance here is based on his G.I. Joe classified series figure. Presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe issue 9 in the Energon Universe. Next. Who is Raptor? Baroness and Covergirl are about to find out as they fight for their lives. Meanwhile, Clutch and Hound investigate Cobra's Energon weapons. Presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe issue 9 in the Energon Universe. The Baroness declines Raptor's invitation, which came on behalf of Major Bludd. Covergirl asks, is this the same Bludd you shot in the back of the head when you escaped the pit? Baroness shot Major Bludd's eye out back in Duke issue 3, but the self-styled great bird of prey makes it clear that Bludd's demand is non-negotiable, descending upon Baroness and Covergirl. Raptor says, Bludd, one and the same. Major Bludd hired me to track you down, but you're a hard woman to locate, Baroness. I expected to find you in a worn-torn jungle, hunting the most dangerous game, or maybe stabbing someone in the back, assassinating a foreign dignitary. But instead, I found you playing tourist in Paris. More surprising, but here we are. As the Baroness and Covergirl begin to run, Raptors swoop down. The Raptor hits the ground, knocking the Baroness down and seizing Covergirl in his claws. The Baroness asks, what's the deal with the birds? Raptor replies, I'm sure you've heard of me, the great bird of prey. I've hunted across the world with my trained Eerie. The Baroness interrupts, no, I don't know you, and I know everyone. Raptor begins to explain his story. Raptor says, all my life was about numbers. There's a reason death and taxes are constant in our lives, and they work together to make life miserable. I wanted to be free, and I always felt a connection with birds, especially the ones that hunted. As I trained them, I could see they were also training me, but it wasn't enough. I wanted to do more. I wanted to hunt with them too. so I paid a guy to build the suit. But these kinds of upgrades aren't cheap. Raptor is an accountant, probably a CPA. He wears a bird-themed suit and specializes in falconry. CoverGirl throws her head back, breaking free of Raptor's grip. Baroness quickly tells her to get her parents to safety while she handles Raptor. However, Raptor reveals that toying with them was merely a distraction. Blood himself arrives on the scene and shoots CoverGirl in the shoulder, though he was aiming for her head. Damn, Major Bludd mutters. I was aiming for the doll's head, still not quite used to the change to my depth perception, you know. Gotta get a bit closer this time. Just then the Paris police arrive and shout, Freeze, drop your weapons. While the Paris police attempt to deal with Major Bludd with little success, Baroness suggests they make their escape, but CoverGirl refuses, telling her if Blood and Raptor are here for me, then I have to face them. Otherwise, more people will get caught in the crossfire. Major Bludd somersaults through the air, taking down the Paris police one by one, shooting them at point-blank range. As one officer begs for mercy, Blood sneers. I love when they beg. Baroness flies through the air, kicking Major Bludd in the back. She shouts, Enough blood. Major Bludd snarls. That's the last time you attack me from behind, doll. How about we try face to face? Baroness grabs a pistol from one of the fallen police officers and steps forward to confront him. You wanted me, you got me, she says coldly. Do you have a preference for which body part you want me to lose this time? Because I have some ideas. Baroness and CoverGirl are suddenly snatched up in a net by Raptor. Raptor says, Should I fly the Baroness and CoverGirl up a mile and drop them? Major Bludd replies, Nah, that would be too easy. Take them to the safe house. At the pit, Duke and Risk are practicing at the shooting range. Risk voices concern that something seems off about Clutch, but Duke reassures him that his friend has nothing to hide. Meanwhile, Clutch is secretly hiding in the garage with Autobot Hound. Hound explains, That is correct. Our ward brought us here by accident. I believe my transponder was damaged in the crash. I haven't been able to contact any Autobots. I don't even know if they know I'm alive, but I believe Optimus Prime would be satisfied with my current mission, aiding you in your conflict against these Cobra agents. Suddenly, Hound begins to kneel over, his energon levels dangerously low. Clutch tells him, Then we'll find you some, and I know just the snakes who have it, referring to Cobra. Hound references his repairs by Matt Tracker from the main segment of Energon Universe 2025 special. The necessity of Energon for the Transformers have been reoccurring focus across all the Energon Universe titles, and this issue shows Hound beginning to run low on his own supply. Elsewhere, Mercer reports to Destro that he has located Agent Martin in a prison facility. Martin has apparently lost his mind after his encounter with Starscream is now obsessively painting the Decepticon's image on his cell wall. Mercer recounts the events between Mars Team and Starscream, confirming for Destro that this is the same robot Duke has been hunting. When Mercer asks if Destro intends to inform Cobra Commander, Destro responds that he doesn't want anyone else to know what Martin saw. Mercer acknowledges the order, pulls out a pistol, and executes Martin. Agent Martin and his Mars team encounter with Starscream occurred in Transformers 13 and 14. CoverGirl wakes up to find herself and Baroness trapped in some sort of pit. Baroness says, I don't know where we are, but we're here because of you. We had a window of escape and we stayed to help strangers. Shamefully, we should have left when we had the chance. CoverGirl replies, That's not what a Joe would do, Baroness. Baroness responds, I do not want to be a Joe. Unlike you, I had no choices either. Join Duke's mad plan or be locked up. And yet I'm still locked up. CoverGirl says, You're not who I thought you were. When you talked about your parents, I thought you actually cared about someone, anyone. Baroness replies, If you are anything like me, we wouldn't be trapped here. Their argument is interrupted by Major Bludd, who says, Girls, girls, girls. Major Bludd says there will be plenty of time for a catfight. Baroness replies, Bludd, I know you're angry, but you must understand that my attack on you at the pit was a matter of self-preservation. You and I are cut from the same cloth. Is revenge really necessary? Major Bludd responds, Revenge is great love, but it pays Jack. Major Bludd then says, I look all over for you. Then I caught a wind of you in the oddest of places, watching DC playing good guy with Duke and his people.
I even tried to draw you out a few times. In my travels to find you, I discovered something special. Now I was fully intent on executing you, but I learned that I was far from your only enemy. You've made quite a few over the years, Baroness, and they would all willingly pay a hefty fee to kill you. But that doesn't mean I can't get what's mine first. As he says this, he throws his knife into the pit. The knife hits the floor, and Major Bludd says, "Here's the skinny. You took my eye, so I want yours. Cover girl, if you want to live, you'll do the honors for me. Baroness, if you want to be handed over to the buyers intact, you'll kill Cover girl." Baroness replies, "You just want to mess with us. You'll kill her anyway and then sell me off. Just get it over with already." Major Bludd says, "Now, why you gotta go and ruin my fun, Baroness? This could be a lot worse." He wraps it up saying, "I was spying on you at the cafe. I overheard you and CoverGirl talking about your parents. He saw them, which means he can find them. If you don't do what I'm telling you to, I'll send the order to my fine feathered friend to kill your mom and dad. Really, it's a win-win for me and a lose-lose for you." Baroness screams, "How about this? Stop being such an animal and try to take out my eye yourself." Covergirl grabs the knife and plunges the Baroness back. Covergirl says, "You were right, Baroness. I should be more like you." Next, presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe issue 10 in the Energon Universe. Baroness versus CoverGirl. Meanwhile, as Cobra Commander Destro's alliance reaches breaking point, secrets are uncovered by G.I. Joe and Cobra that could change everything forever. Presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe issue 10 in the Energon Universe. After CoverGirl stabs Baroness, Major Bludd goads her, saying, "Yes, yes, now finish it. Take her eye." But CoverGirl refuses, telling Bludd to do it himself in an attempt to draw him into the pit. Bludd continues, "How dare you? I'm the one in charge here. I make the demands. You, CoverGirl, take out Baroness's eye. Did you forget the rules of my game?" Major Bludd simply reminds them of his rules, and the raptor is currently lying in wait to take out the Baroness's parents and ready to kill them. Baroness responds, "I don't care." Major Bludd says, "Oh, but I think you do. Imagine this. Raptor guts your mother, then slices open your father's throat. As they choke on their own blood, they will know it because of you, their failed daughter, the criminal, the terrorist. They will die, never knowing how you tried to redeem yourself, how you tried to work on the side of the angels. But worse than that, you'll never get to say goodbye." This is enough to motivate Baroness to comply, and she attacks CoverGirl, yelling at her to fight back. Back at the pit, Clutch and Hound examine the weapons. Clutch recovered from Cobra, but discover that the energon powering them has been depleted. Clutch brought Cobra's energon weapons back with him in issue 6. While they also have other weapons recovered from Mars, Clutch worries that inspecting those might draw too much attention, as he is not yet ready to reveal Hound's existence to Duke. Instead, he suggests they return to the scene of the crime to search for more weapons. As they depart with Hound in Jeep mode, they are secretly watched by Risk, who follows them on a motorcycle. While dining together, Astoria Carlton Ritz, Chameleon, asks Destro what troubles him. Destro and Astoria's relationship began in the final pages of Destro issue 5. Astoria's dinner with Destro calls to mind many of Destro's dinners with the Baroness in previous G.I. Joe continuities, including IDW Publishing, Hasbro Universe, and G.I. Joe Renegades, further cementing Astoria's role as Baroness's stand-in. Destro reveals that he is growing increasingly concerned with the secrets Cobra Commander has been keeping from him. Deciding that now is the time to act, he ventures into Commander's restricted laboratory. There, he discovers a series of tanks containing the vivisected remains of Cobra troopers hooked up to strange machinery. Cobra Commander demands, "What are you doing? My lab is off limits, even to you, Destro." Destro replies, "What are you doing? Explain yourself." Cobra Commander answers, "Perhaps it's best I show you firsthand." Raptor says, "My birds are getting restless. Are we killing these two old timers or what?" Major Bludd replies, the girls are still going at it. I'll update you in a few. Stand ready. You hear the girls? The clock is ticking. As Baroness and CoverGirl continue their fight, Bludd begins to monologue, explaining how his injury has reawakened his true nature as a Renaissance man before reciting a poem he wrote specifically for the Baroness. Major Bludd continues reciting his poem as CoverGirl slams into Baroness with her shoulder. Baroness retaliates with a knee to CoverGirl's stomach. CoverGirl takes her down and begins ground and pound strikes, then reaches out for a machete. But Baroness reverses the move, locking her in a rear chokehold. Major Bludd simply looks on. The Baroness screams, "Shut up," as she snaps CoverGirl's neck. Major Bludd says, not exactly the outcome I was hoping for. I was really rooting for the blonde. Baroness replies, she had a name, but a deal's a deal, Bludd. Let my parents go. Bludd enters the pit to inspect CoverGirl's body himself. Major Bludd says, I'm glad you finally showed your true colors. Baroness, you and I are so alike. You know both creatures of chaos, kill or be killed. Baroness screams, I'm nothing like you. Major Bludd retorts, keep lying to yourself, honey. Regardless of what people think, killing is hard work. It's not easy for everyone, but you're a pro. He then kicks CoverGirl to check if she's dead, placing his foot on her stomach. CoverGirl was playing possum, and she grabs Major Bludd's leg, bringing him to the ground with an ankle lock. CoverGirl says, surprise, as she snaps Bludd's leg, making him scream in pain. Baroness says, Bludd never stopped to pose. This remark from Baroness calling out Bludd not to stop and pose is a callback to Risk telling her the same thing in issue 8. Flustered that he's been taken for a fool, Bludd says, you almost broke my ankle, you witch. How are you alive? CoverGirl replies, you're not the only one with a flair for dramatics. Baroness adds, I've had to pretend to do much worse than to lure a man into a pit. Bludd, we know the only way you ever come down here is if one of us were dead. Major Bludd says, you want to cheat my game? Fine. If Raptor doesn't hear from me, he'll know something is wrong and kill your parents. Baroness says, you got that? As CoverGirl adds, yes, and I'll rip his wings off. Baroness helps CoverGirl out of the pit. Major Bludd snarls. She won't make it in time. After I take your eye, you can cry on my shoulder, love. Baroness responds, you want this eye? Come and get it. Bludd says, if you need something done right, do it yourself. Major Bludd and Baroness run towards each other with machetes, about to face off in a brutal knife fight. Clutch and Hound arrive at the abandoned Mars headquarters, hoping to find remaining Energon weapons that might have been left behind. Clutch tells Hound to wait outside while he does some recon inside. Clutch thinks to himself, I could have sworn I heard those snakes say they had labs in the lower levels, but that was a lot of gear, which means they had to have tunnels to move it. Clutch realizes he is not alone when he suddenly hears the click of a safety release on a gun. Clutch is confronted by Risk. Risk says, I knew it. I knew you were hiding something, you traitor. Risk continues, Cobra must have used a brain scanner machine on you when you were undercover. Clutch replies, I know we don't know each other, Risk, but you've got it all wrong. Risk says, explain it to Duke. However, before Clutch can explain further, the Joes are found by Mercer and a band of Cobra Vipers. Mercer smirks and says, I'd like to know as well. Mercer gloats and jokes. Two G.I. Joes walk into some wreckage. Sounds like the start of a bad joke, but instead of finding the punchline, I'll just kill you. Risk curses at Mercer as the G.I. Joe see a squad of Cobra Vipers behind him. Clutch asks, did you tell anyone you were following me? Risk replies, nope. Clutch smirks and says, great. Mercer continues, I could bring you both back to Cobra, but you two might just end up being bait again, leading G.I. Joe straight to our hideouts. Easy to just kill you and be done with it. Clutch doesn't seem worried and says, oh, really? You sure about that? Risk surprise says, what the hell? Mercer, brimming with confidence. Come on, boys, don't get too scared. Mercer continues, at least put up a fight, but neither he nor the Cobra Vipers notice what's behind them. Autobot Hound standing right behind Cobra. Next, presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe issue 11 in the Energon Universe. The final showdown with Major Bludd. It'll be an eye for an eye. Presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe issue 11 in the Energon Universe. In the abandoned Mars headquarters, Riss is taken aback by what he sees, but Clutch remains nonchalant. Mercer sneers, "Show me what you, Jones, are going on about. My crew is about to light you up." His confidence quickly fades, much to his confusion when he turns around and sees a giant green robot towering over him and his Cobra Vipers. Mercer immediately gives the order to open fire. Even with the Energon-powered weapons, Cobra is no match for Hound, who effortlessly knocks many of them aside, swatting troops as if they were nothing. Mercer shouts, "It's one of those robots. Don't hold back." Clutch calls out to Risk. "He's with me. Come on, Risk. You're a fighter, right?" Cobra has been relying on their diluted blue energon ever since Cobra Commander discovered its creator, Dr. Laszlo Vandermeer, back in Cobra Commander issue 4. Mercer then remarks that Hound transformed just like Starscream, a name he learned from Mars agent Martin in issue 9. Hound is doing most of the damage to the Cobra Vipers, which allows Clutch and Risk to enter the fray themselves. Needing fuel, Hound grabs one of the Vipers' energon blasters and crushes it, drinking the energon inside. But immediately he can tell something is wrong. Hound says the energon isn't pure. Someone has diluted it, corrupted it. Hound transforms into his Jeep mode while Clutch and Risk grab several energon blasters to take with them for study. As they pull away from the scene, Clutch asks Risk not to tell Duke about where they were or about his new alien friend. Meanwhile, Mercer mutters, "It changed, just like Starscream." Under the streets of Paris, Major Bludd sneers, "No one is coming to save you. Revenge will be mine." Major Bludd and Baroness continue their knife fight. Bludd charges towards her and takes a wide swing with his blade. The Baroness retorts, "Please, Major Bludd, maybe save the awful one-liners for your bad poetry." She then counters with a jab to Bludd's neck. Major Bludd growls, "You took something from me, Baroness. Now, if you let me take your eye, then I'll let your parents live. It's that easy, darling." He presses the knife against her forearms. Baroness insists that CoverGirl will stop Raptor, but Bludd snarls, "That dumb blonde won't make it in time." Still obsessed with taking her eye, he continues, "Your parents' fate is in Raptor's claws. They're as good as dead." The tunnels beneath Paris were extremely difficult to navigate and without a map almost impossible. Yet somehow CoverGirl pushes forward through the sewers to intercept Raptor. Major Bludd is not happy. Raptor tries to communicate with him saying, "I'm getting restless, and so are my Falcons. If you don't respond, I'll attack." Raptor then adds that Major Bludd ordered him to target Baroness's parents. Just as Baroness prepares to strike, CoverGirl jumps on Raptor, shouting, "Not today, Raptor." Raptor quickly changes his tune. Meanwhile, Baroness runs towards the walkie-talkie saying, "Once I talk to Raptor and convince him I can be a great ally, he'll quickly change his tune." Major Bludd gains the upper hand and says, "You're getting soft, Baroness. You should have gone for the knife instead of my radio." Major Bludd says, "CoverGirl left you to die. You know she's not going to save your parents. Quite the contrary." Meanwhile, CoverGirl is on the back of Raptor high up in the sky as the Falcons attack her. Major Bludd continues, "You're a war criminal, the scum of the earth in black leather. Why should she ever help someone like you?" Baroness replies, "Because she's better than me. She's a joke." The fight continues, but Major Bludd gains the upper hand, pinning the Baroness beneath him with a machete raised. Baroness screams out, "I'm a G.I. Joe too." With a sudden burst of strength, she shoves him off, and blood spurts everywhere. The knife is sticking out of Major Bludd as he screams in pain and collapses to the floor. Baroness has done it again. She's taken out another of his eyes. Bludd pulls his knife from his eye, still screaming as Baroness says, "Good luck finding your way out of this place. I hear it's a maze." As Bludd curses at her, Baroness grabs the walkie-talkie to try and make a deal with Raptor. CoverGirl answers, revealing that she's already clipped Raptor's wings and assures Baroness that her parents are perfectly safe. In the depths of Cobra headquarters, Destro confronts Cobra Commander about his secret experiments. He monologues about understanding Commander's need to keep secrets, but ultimately reminds him that he needs Destro. The Commander fires back that he needs no one, refusing to bend to Destro's manipulations and revealing that he knows Destro has been sending Mercer on secret missions. Cobra Commander then explains that his experiments are focused on creating cybernetically enhanced soldiers. He declares that a war between flesh and metal is coming and that metal is destined to win unless humanity can become one with it. Destro leaves, but pointedly tells the Cobra Commander to let him know when he needs volunteers for his experiments, offering his assistance in finding the right ones. He recalls the assassination attempted on Cobra Commander that occurred in issue 3, though he still doesn't know the assassin was sent by Cobra La. Clutch and Risk return to the pit where Duke waits for them. Wanting to know where they've been, Risk quickly gives him a cover story about going into town for drinks and getting into a bar fight with some locals. He then checks in with Baroness and CoverGirl as they return from Paris. He becomes concerned about seeing their injuries, but both women brush them off. As they walk off together, they exchange words, affirming their friendship. Looking on from his office, Hawk informs Flint the Baroness has returned. "I don't need your services after all, Flint." Flint replies, "Nightforce will stand down then, sir, but if the Baroness ever gets out of hand and needs to be taken out, let us know." Flint is flanked by Beachhead and CoverGirl. Hawk responds, "Hopefully it never comes to that. It could break Duke if he knew I was spying on some of his team, but I have another mission for Nightforce. I need you to go to Darklonia to break your next recruit out of prison." Codenamed Shooter. The end of this issue teased the appearance of Jodie Shooter Craig, named after Jim Shooter. The character originated as a bit joke in the first issue of Marvel Comics G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero series. Devil's Due Press later reimagined Shooter as the 14th member of the original 13 Joes, a sniper killed during her own mission that occurred alongside the plot of A Real American Hero issue number 1. The G.I. Joe classifying line includes Shooter as part of Nightforce, hence her inclusion here as a potential member of that team. Darklonia was last seen in the Destro miniseries, where Destro aided a local revolution and installed his cousin Darklone as the country's new ruler. Issue 7 had previously shown Nightforce retrieving a battle android trooper that originated from the fictional nation, presumably one of those featured in Destro issue number 1. Next, presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics G.I. Joe issue 12 in the Energon Universe. A standalone Nightforce covert op. Nightforce infiltrates Darklonia to rescue the world's greatest sniper from Destro's cousin, the first appearance of fan favorite Shooter. But how can she join Nightforce when she's imprisoned in Darklonia? Lady J has a plan. Presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics G.I. Joe issue 12 in the Energon Universe. Duke meets with Colonel Hawk to request some time off, wanting to visit Frosty's grave. He expresses concern that the Joes have been too focused on Cobra and not on the robots that killed Frosty. Hawk tells him they can have multiple priorities, prompting Duke to ask, "Is there something you haven't told me?" Hawk assures him, saying, "I'm not going to lie to you, Conrad. There are certain things that are on a need-to-know basis, but I promise you, when the time comes, I will debrief you. For now, don't worry. Nothing is happening with G.I. Joe without your knowledge." Duke once references the death of Tyler Frost from Transformers issue 2. Meanwhile, in Darklonia, the Grenadier labor camp, likely named after the Iron Grenadiers, Destro's personal faction and foot soldiers introduced in the 1989 G.I. Joe A Real American Hero toy line, Nightforce is on a mission to free Jodie Shooter Craig. Nightforce was first properly introduced in issue 7, where Flint and Lady J recruited Beachhead. During the mission, Lady J questions Flint, asking if rescuing Shooter is really worth the risk. Beachhead cuts in, saying, "Hey, show some damn respect. respect. Lady J, I've been on a few missions with her, and the reality is no one knows how good Shooter really is. All of her kills are classified. Jodie Craig is a three-time Olympian gold medal in multiple shooting events, but that's not what she's the best at. She's a sniper. Imagine living your whole life knowing you fired impossible shots to save lives, but you can never tell anyone, never take credit, never brag. Only you know what you can do. It's gotta be lonely. Jodie Craig hears a bug buzzing and quickly kills it, showing that her reflexes remain sharp and unbroken despite the harsh conditions. An Iron Grenadier approaches and says, "Get up, it's time again." Darklonia says, "You will kill for me. You came into our country on a mission, I believe, to assassinate me. You refuse to tell us your target. No matter the torture we subject you to, you will be forced to live the rest of your life behind my walls. However, I will offer you your freedom. You just need to kill someone for me." Shooter replies, "Never." Darklonia was last seen in the pages of Destro. At the end of the series, Destro punished him for selling Mars to Tomax and Xamot by welding Darklonia's family mask to his face, the same mask he is shown wearing in this issue. Darklonia then says maybe tomorrow will be different. Ivana, do it. As punishment, Shooter is savagely beaten by another prisoner, Ivana, before being taken back to her cell. Her father had always been supportive and taught her many lessons after she won her gold medals. His words echo in her mind as Ivana continues kicking and hitting Jodie. Just as Ivana is about to deliver the final blow, Darklonia orders, "Enough, take her back to her cell." As Ivana drags Shooter back, she boasts about her own kill count over 300 and tells Shooter that she plans to kill her later that night to earn Darklonia's deal for herself. She craves freedom from the prison. Ivana throws Jodie into the cell and sneers, "How does that sound, you stupid girl? See you soon." Before slamming the door behind her, Jodie glares after her and says, "I know exactly who you are." Using a hidden lockpick, Shooter frees herself. In the hall, she finds Ivana offering the Iron Grenadier prisoner guards payment to create a distraction by setting off the alarms that will allow her time to kill Shooter. Before Shooter can take on Ivana, she is grabbed from behind by Beachhead, who quickly reverses the chokehold, only to find himself caught in one instead. Shooter says, "Beachhead, what the hell are you doing here?" Beachhead replies, "Saving your behind, little lady." Jodie says, "I'm on a mission. It took me a few months of being locked up here, but I found my opening. I knew getting out would be the hard part, but I don't need saving." Beachhead responds, "And people think I'm stubborn." Shooter says, "I was following orders." Beachhead answers, "Well, I'm handing you new orders. We need to go now before they realize you're gone." As they make their way into the snow-covered forest outside the prison, the alarms go off. The Iron Grenadiers outside spot the two and begin firing, followed by a squad of grenadiers on snowmobiles. Ivana doesn't realize that Shooter has escaped. She believes it's part of her own plan for a distraction. As Shooter and Beachhead run through the snow, Shooter says, "The guards are going to be on us as soon as they get to the snowmobiles." Beachhead replies, "I thought about that." Moments later, 7 Iron Grenadiers explode. Shooter compliments Beachhead and he says, "Good thing we're not alone." Beachhead gets Shooter back to the Jeep where Flint and Lady J are waiting with Shooter's gear. Shooter says, "Not yet. Ivana has killed countless innocent people. It was only a matter of time before someone recruited her to kill again. I can't let that happen." As Ivana runs towards Jodie's cell, Shooter picks up her rifle. Beachhead questions, "What are you doing?" Shooter replies, "I don't like leaving a job unfinished. My original target is still in there." Ivana bursts into cell shouting, "Where the hell is she?" Lady J says, "That's impossible shot." Shooter responds, "For you." Shooter fires the impossible shot, taking out Ivana through the window of her cell. With her mission complete, she turns to the astonished Flint and Beachhead and asks one question: "Who are we hunting?" Cobra Commander asks, "Where did you find this volunteer?" Destro replies, "He was lost in Paris wandering. Had a bad run-in with the Joes. I've worked with him before. He's loyal, dangerous, but misguided at times. He needs direction, someone with vision to aim him. We can give him that. Isn't that right?" Destro references his previous work with Major Bludd in the pages of Duke. It's Major Bludd, the commander, has outfitted him with the mechanical eyes to replace his lost ones, referring to his new eyes. Major Bludd says, "These new eyes are perfect, better than ever." Destro responds, "Good, and in exchange you'll be loyal to us." Major Bludd replies, "I'll work for you, do whatever you need, just keep that witch Baroness away from me. She and I will dance together again, but I think it's time I try my hand at something new." Destro says, "Welcome to Cobra." Major Bludd's new cybernetic eyes are designed to resemble the high-tech eye patch from his G.I. Joe classified series figure. Destro leaves the commander and Bludd to continue testing the experiment. Mercer then enters and reports to Destro about his encounter with the Joes and their robot. This news worries Destro, prompting him to consider accelerating his plans to oust Cobra Commander. Mercer reminds him that the commander inspires both loyalty and fear within the organization, citing Ripper's continued presence as an example. This makes Destro realize that he does not need to eliminate Cobra Commander himself. They just have to let his enemies reach him first. Destro talks about the Dreadnoks. They are weaponizing their vehicles, preparing to hunt down Cobra Commander. As teased in G.I. Joe's segment of the Energon Universe 2025 special, the Dreadnoks have been hunting Cobra Commander ever since he and Nemesis Enforcer destroyed their base, seized their Energon, captured the Doctor, and caused other casualties in the pages of Cobra Commander. Next, presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe, Issue 13, Part 1 of 5, in the Dreadnok War, part of the Energon Universe. The Dreadnok War begins here when Cobra Commander is betrayed by one of his closest allies. He's targeted for revenge by the Dreadnok, but in the darkest hour, the only one who can save Cobra Commander is Duke. The team you never expected kicks off the biggest G.I. Joe story yet.